are back and ready to go with Saito's Path to Pro Combine for a second set tonight. I'm Isaac, and joining along me tonight is Gebetto for the cast. And Gebetto, we have a little bit of a different format going on this week, so you might want to
Yeah.
introduce that to us, to the viewers.
Well, this is Ghost Draft. We're using some pro drafts from Worlds. This is the draft of Game 1 from CFO up against Harmor Life Esports, who, now that Swiss Stage is finished, have both made it to the quarterfinals. Very fun matches. I'm very excited to see how these teams both go. Obviously, the bans are not correct. They were just auto-filled. No one's banning Lux and Belveth, but the picks are all real. So... Damn it.
No.
But yeah, so this is a really interesting way of doing the drafting, which I personally think is really cool. I was talking to you about it a little bit earlier, that something that Overwatch scrims do, and in tryouts they are given set comps to play and practice. And obviously drafting is a massive, massive part of League as opposed to something like Overwatch, so it's not a good idea to always do something like this. But I think that it's something that teams could incorporate more if both teams are up to it. But touching on these drafts, the left side draft for Team A is very high execution with the Ezreal. We were also joking about this a little bit off of camera with producer. Very high execution with the Ezreal. There's not a whole lot of engage either. Not a whole lot of snappy engage. There is some good pushing lanes, which is really beneficial for these players who should at this level be able to levy that. On the B side draft, it's a lot more of a later scaling draft. There is a Jarvan which will kind of fall off and just be an alt bot into Orianna later. Ezreal obviously picked into the Jarvan, but you've got a Rumble, really nice team fighter, and then this Azir, Yunara, Rakan kind of damage carry slash backline, where Rakan fills both a engage and an enchanter style here with some shielding and some protecting, peeling, etc. Obviously, the Azir and the Yunara have decent range, but it's really about the team fight. At Worlds, it's been a recent come up of this Azir and Varus, actually, with Poke Varus really creating a lot of control. But due to B's comp having a lot of control innately with the Rumble slow, Rakan being able to kind of do what he wants in this game, in the original game where the draft comes from, CFO start off really, really well. The lane for Orianna is winning. Doggo is on Ezreal, and he's a demon at this Worlds and starts to do insanely well, but the B-side draft does end up outscaling.
Yeah, and the one thing I find interesting with this draft as well, within the context of like the Path2Pro Combine, is the fact that sometimes you get players that really don't play these champions all too much. Like, I'm not sure how much Asila plays Azir, and just generally in Tier 2, I haven't seen nearly as much Azir as you see at like the highest levels of play in the world. And so I'm interested to see, even with how much scaling that the Hanwha Life draft had, which is the one on red side. It's be interesting to see how these two teams will be able to pilot the mid laners, between whether it's Asila in this game or when we swap sides for game 2, how Aljun does on it.
This is, a very kind of contentious discussion, in my opinion, something that I've been talking about frequently, on and off, I should say, actually, that the Azir is something that is really, really popular in pro play, but players don't really tend to go towards it. They would rather pick either other scaling mids or a bit easier mids, and that's also due to the fact that Azir is high execution, but it's risky because you've got so many options in fights. Azir is a great scaler. He's really, really good on side lane. There's not a whole lot into the Azir, especially if you know what you're doing. As Team A looking for an invade here, most likely just going to put down some wards, chunk out Tahe here, and walk back over to their other side. There was a ward placed down by Ariana here on the other side of the bot side jungle. Sorry, top side jungle. So nothing ends up coming of that.
But well, hold on. I better took over play-by-play duties there for a second, so I kind of got a little bit blindsided by it. But I mean, really, really well executed. But I mean, yeah, I mean, my eyes again, like I said, are on how Asila can do on this year, especially since from the handful of games that I've seen, from Asila in this combine specifically. He's not exactly had the best of times so far. Be interested to see like how we can navigate this sort of matchup.
In the original game to this, the mid lane was pushing quite consistently. That should happen. I'm expecting these players to be able to play the champions correctly and well. So things like Orianna getting pushed into Azir, the Ezreal and Nanami due to the double range, and the poke getting pushed as well. These are all things that are quite standard, as that was a pretty wide queue there from Array, but still an attempt going for the poke there. It really can come down to the team fights though, because laning is one thing up against players that you're probably pretty familiar with at this point, and know they're in like the ins and outs of how they play. Very different to actually the style of Worlds, where you might be pulling up and haven't really scrimmed against a team. You've scouted them, but haven't had a chance to properly play against them and learn their play style and how they operate in and out of a lane. But the team fights, as quite a low chunk here, the team fights should be pretty explosive with things like a Rakan, a Jarvan, and Orianna. As quick roam here from Clarice into the mid lane, as looks like Array had taken an early base.
Yeah, but as we go back to the junglers, Tahe and Kisno both starting on the opposite side of the maps will be finishing up their clears at about the same time. But as we've seen many of times so far in the Path2Pro Combine, once again we've got a mirrored start, and so kind of have to wait and see what they do with that. Obviously, like I said, you're looking for the early explosiveness from the side of Team A and Kisno on this Xin Shao. But speaking of, we might be able to get that here. Luckily, Bounty and Enthralled are aware. They do know that their jungler is on the opposite side of the map and do back away.
One thing that I want to know about this red side draft from Harmer Life is that this was picked when Yunara was nerfed. She's since that game, they're going to stay on the Worlds patch for the time, but this Yunara is buffed because it's 25.21, so extra W dimension scaling, so on just a better champion in general might end up mattering in this game. I'm not sure how much the changes do impact her. The nerfs obviously were strong, but not enough to really push her out of the game, because obviously Harmer Life is playing it, so they still value the pick. It is obviously interesting that we get to play these drafts on a different patch. But yeah, just something to keep of note. Look out for this Yunara. Might be a problem later on in the draft. I still think that, like in the game and in this B side draft, this red side draft does scale incredibly well.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, probably even more so with Enthralled. And really, it is exactly how it played out between Hanwha Life and the Flying Oysters, that right around, I think it was the 16-ish minute mark, Hanwha Life finally decisively won a fight, and then that was it. But Kay's going to have to flash away. Orianna does so much more damage in this Cassante early on, and that would be a solo kill, first blood for Orianna.
Yeah, a little bit of a greedy trade there. I mean, the Rumble's going to be winning against you for quite a while, especially when these items and levels start coming on, the Q cooldown goes down, but really nice first blood there. It is a tough matchup, right? You're playing a tank against Rumble. That's all you can really do, but really nice solo kill here for the beginning of this game.
Yeah, and I mean, Orianna is definitely one of these carry style of top laners. Is Array going to use the Arcane Shift to get away from Bounty? But even though we haven't really focused on this top lane matchup too much up until this point, and since we haven't exactly had the most explosive first 6 minutes of this one, I do want to focus up there a little bit, because with the Cassante and the Rumble matchup being the way it is, these two top laners are top laners that would much rather be on the Rumble just from their own personal styles of play.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Key, who's on the Cassante right now, has a 88-point-something% win rate on Rumble over 9 games this year from my scouting, or from our scouting, sorry. So okay. much more comfortable on the Rumble side of this matchup than the Cassante is for him. So we are, to my knowledge, could be wrong, but we're going to swap the drafts after this game as
we are.
Engage in Pod.
Oh, Bounty could be in a bit of trouble. Doesn't have the Grand Entrance or the Battle Dance, so will have to flash under tower to get away. So that's just a handful of escape tools that aren't going to be available to Bounty as time goes on.
This is the bot lane and mid lane push prior that is being generated by the red side draft here as Team A pushes in, but caught.
A little bit. Kizno could have gone a little bit too far forward. Will have to flash away from Bounty himself. So it's just a trade of flashes in the extended fights there. Team A trying to push their luck a little bit too far.
Look at the CS lead in mid right now. I mean, this matchup is difficult, but that's a really, really solid CS gap. It was around about 15 just before. They're now sitting at only 13, but still really strong. Seems like Aogen pretty comfortable on the Orianna. It is something that I would expect players to be comfortable on. The Azir is one thing, you know, because it's really rising in popularity as the LPL and LCK teams play it more and more and more, and obviously Faker, but other players as well. Like BDD is really, really good on the Azir, Chovy, and obviously in this game it's Zeka as Visit up in top.
Going to go all out to try to get the solo kill onto Ariana, but Bounty is here. Will be able to get the heal and the shields down onto Ariana, keep him alive.
Oh, hold on, True Shot Barrage could hit.
Oh, I don't know if it hit. It definitely canceled the recall of Ariana, though.
Yeah, very nice. But that's a TP in from Yunara.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, it's that is enthralled with teleports, and so going to operate to be able to get back to these fights on Yunara. A bit of an unorthodox selection in terms of summoner spells from Enthralled, but will help out here for a little bit. Grub's going to be going the way of Team A, but Team B will try to find a fight in the aftermath. Aren't going to get the fight that they want, though. Of course, right as they say that, Syla will get the shuffle onto Aljun. The divide separates Aljun from the rest of the team. The equalizer will try to do that even further, but it just changes the escape route of Aljun.
Nice try, nice attempt from Team B there at the equalizer, but it won't really amount to a whole lot right now. The 3 Grubs did go over to Team A, so nearly got engaged on, but you still benefit from that trade quite significantly. Yeah, I'm really not a fan of this TP on Yunara. The reason is first of all, I'm assuming that Viper didn't go TP on Yunara this game because I don't remember that. But the problem is that like enemy Ezreal has barrier, and the idea with barrier, and this is something why things like Leona were getting picked a whole lot, is hold on, Array might be caught out here. Lots of numbers in the top lane.
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of mobility available to the Ezreal. Arcane Shift out of the Cataclysm, does still have Flash, won't opt to use it, accepts that he's dead, and that will be Enthralled picking up the kill.
Least got a TP here from K to cover this wave, but yeah, really nice visit. Very low vision from Team A in the top side. And yeah, visit from support and jungle makes that a pretty easy kill onto Array. The good news for Team A is that the Ezreal didn't flash. Obviously used that Arcane Shift to try to get out of Cataclysm and was able to do so, but wasn't able to flash out away from the flag and drag knockup. But yeah, what I was saying before is when Leona was really, really heavily prioritized, one of the biggest strengths of the Leona was the fact that you have to go cleanse against her, and then you don't have barrier for the all-in. In this matchup, you don't have to go cleanse. You should be going barrier so that you can fight the Ezreal and feel really confident about it. But instead, you're opting to go TP to make your lane a bit easier, to band-aid fix maybe the fact that you're not as comfortable in this matchup as you probably should be, and are losing out in safety later on in the game in important team fights.
And we see a little bit of that, kind of. I mean, not really, but it is a really good bit of poke from Array, landing his Mystic shots onto Enthralled, get him a little bit lower, poking him out of the lane to ensure that a very late first Drake goes to the side of Team A.
Not the most uncommon thing. I would have been more... Hold on, that's an equalizer. K forced the flash.
He's going to have to flash away. The Pathfinder will try to stun up Ariana. prevent the slows, but Jonbu is here. Sorry, that's Tahe is the actual competitive name. And so Ariana just backs away from his jungler. Trey goes back in, does find the kill onto Ariana, will turn the gank into a 1v1, maybe even more. He still has a few health available to him, but the Cataclysm will be able to find to execute. But all the while, Aljun has gotten very low, had to flash over the Raptors wall in the 1v1 away from Asyla.
Very nice 1v1 up there in the top lane that turns into a 2v1 that K ends up getting a solo kill into. This is something that I'm going to be very harsh on these players for doing because they are at the level that it matters. Ariana dies in the 1v1 without getting a whole lot more of gold, maybe a couple more minions, and fully buys Leandries. You cannot take an all-in against Cassante with ult when you're sitting on a full item base. If you had Leandries before K had this Kanik Rooken, you probably win that easily. But instead, a very greedy, over-eager all-in. I know that Cassante can catch you off guard very quickly, but it's still a big mistake in the top lane.
Before we get to that, the flag drag finds its way down onto Clarice. We'll have to use the tidal wave. Shockwave also going to slow the advance of Tahe and will not result in any blood.
The good news is for Team A there is, despite using some very important team fighting ults, there's no dragon available for another 3.5 minutes or so. So despite losing some crucial tools for peel and team fighting damage-wise with the shockwave, there's really nothing to get for Team B other than some pressure on this bot lane tower. But with Clarets coming down and hovering, there shouldn't be any dive just of yet. There's still that barrier available for Ezreal, although he is running a little low on mana.
He's getting at a point where he probably does have to look to recall relatively soon. Array going to probably opt to do it after this wave goes down. Luckily, there aren't any objectives on the map for the next few moments. The Rift Herald and the Max Drake spawning at about the same time. So there's the recall coming through, and we take a look at the items. Not quite finishing that Triforce on that recall, so it will be enthralled, I think, with a slight little extra combat advantage, potentially, if a fight breaks out. Of course,
Keys come down.
Barrier.
Keys come down here to the bot lane. Another lane swap here to try to get the Ezreal away from the Yanara now, which is, a bit unfortunate. Obviously, it's a high execution ADC, like we were talking about before, but also this Cassante away. There's a flash shuffle.
Syla, yep, flashing in to get the Emperor's Divide, forces Aljun back to the middle of the lane, and it's a very easy follow-up for the rest of Team B.
Very nice catch. No flash on the Orianna. Easy visit. Got that flash timed. And honestly, you could probably do it again with maybe the quickness from Rakan. Send Bounty into the mid lane or onto the side lane if Azir is going to a side lane now. So it looks like he is going up to the top lane, maybe try to dive the tower. But Key here, left to his own devices, taking a full tower. Won't be able to get it just of yet because Cassante, no Demolish right now. Understandable, not a whole lot of damage from there, even with the 3 grubs, but chunking down that tower quite significantly, and it's making a difference here up in this matchup. I was saying earlier, maybe Key not the most comfortable on Cassante, would rather be on the Rumble side of the matchup, but I'm really interested to see now how this matchup looks flipped, because Key has looked really comfortable on the Cassante. I'm very, very surprised by this, as Heralds will spawn, and lots of pings in the positions coming up for the top lane.
Yep, everyone's moving up there. Obviously, we'll now get eyes on the top half of the map. Array is caught out by the Cataclysm, but just stands there, doesn't care that they've arrived. The Shockwave finds its way down onto the Team B ADC. Aljun will get enthralled right with the Rift Herald up and in the eyes of Team A. It's
a 1v1 against these ADCs, which might feel good for Enthralled on Yunara with this Kraken fully completed, but it's actually ended up not being a 1v1 because Array kind of just puts on the Jordans and outpaces everybody, stands in Cataclysm, barriers, doesn't move at all, then, dodges away from some abilities. Really well played from the ADC of Team A right now, as Herald being started up and should be taken fairly much for free. Yunara, no ult, and again, that's kind of that TP thing. Maybe if you had barrier there, you were able to make that trade a little bit more positive for yourself. I believe it was the upgraded, the Alt W. I can't remember what that like a specific ability is called?
It's
Arc of Ruin or something, Arc of Judgment, something like
something.
that.
It's arc of something. All I know from Yunara is that it's you transcend oneself
It's the
and
Kamehameha.
yeah, and Atlas calls it the Slurkle. That's
He
the other
does call
thing
it the
I know.
Slurkle. That is a banger
Those
name.
are. It really is a banger name, honestly. I really hope it sticks with more variety of different casters. But either way, I mean, really, those are the abilities that are to look out for. Whatever the arc of, uh, definitely the Covenant comes through from the Yunara. But anyway, moving on. First tower is going to go the way of Team A. Going to push down mid and this spot. So I'm trying to find the two. Not quite getting mid as a teleport from Asylum does come down. And now the flag drag finds its way onto Array. Will trap a few, and the swiftness finds the charm onto Mini, but it's not the quickest follow-up, and so the shockwave from Aljun will find the damage, but it's not quite enough to be able to turn this fight around too much. Of course, I had to say that. My eyes have deceived me. Aljun does a really good job to be able to find that fight, and it goes the way of Team A.
Yeah, as soon as the fight breaks out, Aogen actually TPs from not that far away. It's a little bit under halfway of the rotate from top lane to where that fight was taking place. So it feels kind of like an awkward TP, almost like the shy TP, but gets the Orianna there in time to land a really nice two-man shockwave. Orianna TPs very late. Didn't quite see if Rumble had that TP available at the start of the fight or if it had just come up. But either way, not the best decision to TP over there. Regardless, you still lose the summoner spell and you don't get any value. You're not able to use your ult. And again here, it feels very uncomfortable for this Yunara to have barrier in this matchup. Sorry, to have TP in this matchup instead of barrier, where I'm looking at the pro game now where Yunara has barrier. So I think, honestly, it's really egotistical to not to say, like, oh, I know how this matchup better than Viper does. Maybe you're not comfortable and you want to go towards a TP. I personally wouldn't do that ever. I don't like saying that on cast ever, but yeah, I think it's a mistake, in my opinion, to go something like a TP over a barrier in this situation.
Does mean that Enthralled will be all just that slightly bit more squishy, doesn't have access to those combat summoners, but now Bounty going to find the grand entrance onto Kisno, but more as an ability to be able to retreat from the collapsing Team A, who have now popped the Rift Hail, looking to really open up this map in top and bot for the first two towers. Tidal Wave not quite going to find the mark, but it won't matter. It's more of a zoning thing to allow top lane tier 1 to go down.
No driving here into the tier 2. Should get a crash. I'm not sure if we'll be able to get a full tower here.
Syla tried to find a way in, but now will flash forward for the shuffle. Finds its way onto 3. It's a huge moment from Asylum, and the swiftness now from Bounty ensures that the CC finds its target on the rest of the members of Team A, and that will be a very clean fight for Team B, started all by Asylum.
You know what? I was also flaming enthralled about 10 seconds earlier. I gotta praise him here. The TP allows him to get to the plates to continue the fight off, so pays off pretty well in that fight there. But absolutely, Asylum has had not only a really good Azir game in general, but that play catching 3 members, pushing them all under the tower, and then Bounty there ready to go. Very, very good synergy from Team B so far, and it's always good to see players and teams be able to come up with this synergy very quickly on, combined teams and, random teams here. Atakan going over to Team B, and now in a pretty strong position, nearly up 3k gold on the comp that, we were saying outscales eventually, which is getting to that point now. And also team fights better, right? It's a lot harder to team fight with things like the Ezreal. It's just high execution, right? You're not Doggo, and even Doggo lost that game. Now it's looking very similar to the actual real game where Zeka was able to do some absolute work on the Azir. Asila having a pretty similar success here.
Yeah, and I was a little bit concerned about Asila on this Azir specifically, but Bounty will use the swiftness to try to find a way, and it's a good tidal wave to stop. The advance won't quite matter. Enthralled will get the first kill, but it is answered immediately by the Shockwave, getting a decent amount of damage, but only enough to be able to get the Yunara so far. The Shuffle finds its way onto Kizno, but he's a little bit too tanky. Does get the shutdown onto the Azir, but it's a really good true shot barrage from Array to be able to turn this fight into 3v1. So despite the scaling looking like it might be going the way of Team B, Team A find a fight around the Drake.
I don't have enough time. Hold on.
Ariana, I mean,
honestly, really solid game so far on the Cassante. Like, this is a tough matchup, and the fact that you're doing really this well in it, I have to give props to this player. But I don't have a whole lot of time to watch a ton of challenges over different regions, but I do watch a lot of the tier 1 regions, and I will say that this is inherently a Western problem here, as K will take down the turret here, but these random over-chasing fights are a problem. K can't even get the tower, actually.
He took 3 tower shots of aggro, so that'll be Tahe just going to need a tap K a little bit, just tap him on the head a few times, and that will be the kill going over to the Jarvan. Just a little bit over-ambitious from K, trying to get that top lane tier 2.
Over-ambitious is definitely the word for the last minute and a half, Isaac, because after that fight in top lane, where a really, really nice shuffle, then Team B try to go for another random fight, give over 2 big shutdowns now to Team A. And then K on the top side feels almost like a ranked play here with just split pushing until death. Almost gets the tier 2. Maybe it's worth it, but now Rumble's able to catch some top waves and be in a really, really good position now. Dragon is still 4 minutes away, so really not a whole lot you can do off of that pick, but it's only 2 Drakes for Team A and 1 for Team B as Ariana's caught.
Ariana and will be caught by the Shockwave as well. There's just too much damage between these 2 targets, and Kizno will be able to pick up that kill, but now the response from Team B is try to find push in the mid lane. The rest of Team A have arrived to prevent that mid lane tier 2 from going down.
Nice cover here from Team A as K had respawned and come out the mid lane, but again, just a bit of poking and prodding at this tower. There's still 3.5 minutes until this next Drake, and that would only be sole point. So despite losing your big gold lead for Team B, you're now only 300 gold apart. You still have enough time to get some important items here. The Infinity Edge for Yunara, the 3rd item on Azir here, which looks like it either could be maybe a Crypt Bloom or a Zhonya's, depending on where Asila wants to go. But crucially right now, this Ezreal really, really strong. Array's hit that really comfortable Ezreal power spike of the the Trinity Force, and the Mana Moon fully upgraded, does a ton of damage, has those Ludens as well that can be upgraded. And it really feels this game that it's on the back for Team A off of Aogen and Array. If they can continuously have good fights, I think that Aogen has had some really good fights this game with some really good shockwaves catching off multiple members, as opposed to the entire team of Team B needing to be on it together, right? Rakan really needs to get a good engage. Obviously the carries, but you need a good Jarvan time as well, catching Orianna, zoning her off, maybe catching Ezreal with no dash, if that's a possibility. But the vision war starting over here around not only this top side for the Baron that's spawning in 10 seconds, but transitioning it into the bot side as well, as both teams fight over the mid wave.
Yep, it's the NA Classic. Everybody goes mid. Well, not quite everybody just yet. Not the full A round, but Baron has now spawned on the map. Will be a potential target for these 2 teams. So obviously, we won't quite see too much of a turn towards it just yet, as we just kind of jockey around for positioning for the potential to be able to have access to that objective.
Yeah, the reason that this is happening is because Ezreal on his own doesn't necessarily win mid prior against a Yunara with Ruined Hurricane. So they're overloading the mid lane to try to give a Team A this mid push. And it is working out. As you can see, the wave is deep into the tier 2 now. Really nice transition of vision that I was talking about just earlier from Team A, setting up their vision now around the Baron. But here's a TP behind from Asila.
Oh, it is coming in. The Cataclysm starts the fight. The team offside TPing. The option is to go down onto Kizno and Aljun. Kizno going low, going down as it is claimed now by Enthrall. That's 2 kills for the Yunara, and that is very well done by Team B. Array in a ton of trouble. The Equalizer really not finding the mark at all from Ariana, but it does get the Ezreal on the wrong side of the map. Array really doesn't have anywhere to go. Even if he Arcane shifts over that wall, Bounty is there and waiting, flashes the Grand Entrance, gets a lot of damage down onto the Rakan. Has he escaped? Not quite. Ariana flashes to the wall himself and burns him down. That will be buried on the way of Team B.
Casante's TP'd in, and it's forcing Team B to base away from here as Key chases out.
Are low.
Looks like he'll just be able to. Looks like he'll just be able to get some vision clear, allow his team to reset. But a nice TP will save the Baron. But a massive heads-up play from Asila to TP behind onto the wave. I believe it was the wave. I don't see a ward that he could have TP'd to there. So maybe a slight misplay. If it was a ward, it's still a mistake here from Team A to not sweep vision as you're setting up your own vision and leaving a ward behind. But a really nice setup from Team B and an execution as well. The Dragon is spawned here.
Yeah, and it does not look like Team A are going to opt to contest this one, though. They're just a little bit too far away and instead are going to try to set up vision around Baron, leave Team B questioning, try to find them in a very bad position if they move on to it, and try to just zone them off.
Well, they're walking in here as well. Casante was spotted by that blue orb as 5 versus 5 check each other in the face. Look at this Rakan engage. Here it comes.
Grand Entrance will find its way, but it's canceled by the Pathmaker of K, who now goes all out, immediately finds the kill onto Bounty, and it will be the target onto Tahe next. But it's a good shuffle from Asila, but it's not quite enough. It's a valiant effort from the Azir, but K is so big, does quite a bit of damage, and Array is left to free fight away. Free hit from distance, puts so much damage down, and Team A find the ace.
I'm really concerned about that fight there from Team B. It feels not only an awkward engage from Bounty as he just kind of sends it into Key. Maybe he was hoping that he could get off ult after the Grand Entrance came off and then ran into the enemy team. But you're running into Ezreal and a Nami and you don't have flash. So that engage is never going to work. But you don't actually hit the Cassante. He hits W at a great time, hits that Pathmaker and pushes you away, and now your team is stuck in a really awkward fight that you forced them to start. Almost Asila saves it with a shuffle there, but one of those situations in where you go for a road and unfortunately it was just a pavement, a sidewalk at that, and it might have been better to stay at range and play the auto attack game. A nice attempt, but maybe a bit over eager. Again, I'm going to talk about this engage because it's two dragons apiece. The game's even. You, in my opinion, outscale. Maybe these players aren't super comfortable in the late game, and they think that they don't outscale, and they need to send this fight like this, even though they've got good vision. This is kind of the problem, though, when you go towards that Drake and get the second Drake. Team A was able to set up very deep vision in the top side around B side's camps, and then have a basically free reign around the Baron. They didn't have perfect vision, but they had enough. Bounty sends the engage a bit early. Baron on 5 members now for Team A.
Oh, and now the collapse will be towards the top side. They'll try to pick out Asila and Ariana before the rest of Team B can arrive. Equalizer will drop, not really finding too many targets. The tidal wave finds a few, but the collapse has arrived. It's a little bit too slow from Team A, as all of Team B are here. Kizno will have the Guardian Angel popped, but there's no one left on his team to help him out. It's a very good collapse from Team B as they find 4 members of Team A.
I agree. Great punish from Team B as they find a couple of members of Team A up here sleeping. But this is a game of throwing back and forth this lead here because, again, pardon me, Team A have Baron and they're 4-man pushing a top lane and trying to engage on the Azir. With no vision now, as it had been swept out before, you've got Baron. Just synchronize your waves, set up vision, and play way slow as Key.
K's gone. Finally down. It will be the Grand Entrance that claims that, so that will be an unofficial ace as Clarice has respawned, but it's just going to be burned down immediately by Enthralled. Won't quite be the end for Team B, but they do open up the base a little bit more. Team A finally responding. It was getting a little bit questionable there whether or not Team B could end, but we'll go on for a little bit longer.
Well, the Dragons being pinged out now, 1 minute on this, Drake. That would be soul point for either team if they're able to get it. The gold lead hasn't really ballooned enough after that Baron to after that Baron throw, sorry, to really give Team B a massive advantage. It is an advantage, right? You've got your Void Star finished on Azir. You've got 4 items on this Yunara. Very, very scary as Cataclysm comes out.
Cataclysm drops out onto Aljun, who will just opt to flash away, but that is a very big cooldown that will be unavailable for this next Drake, as you mentioned, which is spawning in 40 seconds.
Yeah, this is good play here. This is just good high tier player play. You look on the Orianna who's overstepping and disrespecting your mid, you pull her flash away, and then you walk away. You don't overchase the engage, but now looks like might be a dive here.
Okay, we'll use a really good option on the Pathmaker to stop the CC. Gets himself to safety, but the focus will be that target, and now it will be the deletion of Enthralled up in the mid lane. He knew there was none of his team around to find that one. Once again, the option is to try to find the way in onto K, who does good with the Q3 to knock up 3 members to delay this fight. He's gone low. He will probably be killed eventually, but it buys a lot of time for Team A to move on to the Drake to be able to take that. But I think Team B just wants to go for it, and knowing that Team A is there on the Drake, they're pushing as hard as they can. The recalls take 8 seconds to come through. I don't think Team B will be able to end, but they'll open up both side lanes inhibitors.
It's really unclean. This is a really unclean game from both teams, but I have to say that is incredibly disrespectful what Enthralled just did. And from the caliber of, maybe they all agree and they decide to pause and yell at him a little bit there, because genuinely the level of player that is in this game should not be making a mistake that bad. That is game losing. If the positions were slightly different and Team A was able to collapse onto the bot side here, that could have been the entire game, because you decided to 1v3 ego check yourself with no barrier. I don't understand why that's ever an option. I'm an ADC player. Don't do that ever. That's really ridiculous. I don't necessarily agree with the diving the Cassante either. I think that it took a little bit too long, but one of the biggest reasons it took a long time is your ADC wasn't there. Team A opted to take the Drake and trade it for 2 inhibitors, so the game is still really, really close. 5k lead, though, for Team B, up against Soul Point for Team A.
Yeah, and it's funny that you should mention that the pause comes through for Enthralled on this Yunar, because in the Path2Pro Combine, since this is more of a display of the players as well as potentially the coaches, in the case of Team A, we have Quatch there and Pocus for Team B, but they are allowed 1 pause per game for a 2-minute timeout to kind of discuss things. It's not always utilized by the coaches. Some have allowed things to play out a little bit more.
2 minutes
in general, but yeah, it's been a bit more free with their options to use that and to speak to their players, depending otherwise. But I'll obviously we don't know who opted for the pause, but it's just funny that you should mention that on the Enthralled play that the pause comes very quickly afterwards.
I wouldn't actually be surprised if it was something about that, about someone, maybe not specifically for Enthralled, but like that game state there was very awkward for both teams, and I think that both teams feel very uncomfortable in this game. The dive onto the Cassante is a bit strange. The decision to go for the Drake and then give the inhibitor, like maybe there's a situation in where you're able to get to the bot lane fast enough with some TPs, but the pause will cancel out here. We'll probably be getting the Rito branded stutter here in a second, but it is what it is. Baron spawns in a 1.5 minutes, and if I'm Team B here, if I'm Asila, I'm screaming at my team for gold so I can get this rabbit onto the upcoming fight.
Asila very close to the death cap, sitting on 2 needlessly large rods. Has just recalled, though, so we'll probably be a little bit for that 4th item to come out. Have to wait and see for that next point in time just how close Asila is to be able to claiming that. As we have said before, both inhibitors are open in the side lanes of Team A, so we'll have that extra push in these side lanes, importantly, as Baron spawns in the next minute.
Yeah, this is a kind of an issue with this double inhibitor situation, as the tier 2 and mid will crack, so some some much needed gold sorry over, but because the inhibitor waves are constantly pushing in, you can't side lane as the Azir anymore because you're not able to collect the minions that the waves are permanently shoved, and you're behind an item on Agent. Agent has um, the 4 items completed with a pink order in tow, obviously, and Asila only has the 3. So desperately trying, you can see, invading Raptors. I wouldn't be surprised to go and take his own team's Raptors as well, maybe the Wolves or the Grump as well, to really try to accelerate this Azir into Rabadons. You've only got 20 seconds until Baron, but due to the control that the side wave pushing will give you, you can choose to not start the Baron and instead try to play for this next streak, or just simply hold control until the Baron, until Rabadons is on this Azir, and then start the Baron. But Team A trying to walk in now, contest some of this vision, but Team B around.
Ooh, trying to find way in onto K, but instead the oh, Ariana disconnected. I thought for a second we might be having the two coaches pausing at the same time. Bit of an odd moment, but no, Ariana has had a few issues with connection, so hopefully that will resolve itself relatively soon. But we sit back and wait around, and funny that you should mention the next Drake that is spawning. It is a little bit of time until it spawns. I do believe the top lane inhibitor should respawn for Team A by the time that one comes back up. But it is, in fact, soul point to Team A, but Team B, as you mentioned, with those side lanes pushing, should probably have an easier time getting to these objectives first.
Yeah, hopefully, as you know, the nature of this combine is scouting ground. Hopefully that the connection issues haven't been going on, the entire game. Obviously, it's hard for us to see it because it doesn't look like he's lagging from our position, but we're back here. The tower gets placed down in the mid lane.
Crescent Guard going to be used by Kisno, and the tidal wave finds its way onto 2. Cataclysm drops onto the back line of Team B, and that allows Kisno to be able to secure the first kill onto an isolated Enthralled. So advantage to Team A in terms... Oh, wait, hold on. The grand entrance from Bounty finds its way onto 3 in the back line. It's a bit separated. There's a trade of kills just for now, but all the while in the mid lane, Aljune's gone very low, and Ariana flashes forward to find Array. A very messy fight, but currently it is slightly favored to the side of Team B, and another pause comes through.
Goodness me.
We don't really have much time to speak. Not Ariana. Sorry. Asila is very low, so we'll probably have to opt to recall. So I'm not sure if this is a condition to potentially end from Team B, but it does look like he'll be able to get the third inhibit. He does have teleport. Oh, he does have teleport.
So he should be able to. I would say you should just, even if Ariana disconnects, you should just play this out. Azir finishes Rabadon's there with the gold that he was able to collect, and now just TP back and end. Yeah, here's the Rito freeze, but should be able to get out of this pretty quickly. The pause wasn't too long, but yeah, it'll be a TP into bot. There's 2 super waves pushing in on either side, the top and the bot, and we'll have to see if these teams can end. If we can unpause.
Yeah, it will be on Kisno and K to be able to stop the end. It's a very tall order for these two, but it's not impossible. The option will try to find the way in onto Asila. All out is used. Alliance is committed. It finds the kill onto Asila. Ariana's also gotten down to half HP. Can Kisno and K find the kills they get to? Looking for the Jarvan. Tahe will come through. Dinar TP will drop down, but it might be a little bit too far. Bro. That's not what you wanted to do.
Oh my god.
Enthralled. I don't believe it. It is a very valiant defense from K and Kisno to be able to keep this game going.
I have to say, watching Asila TP directly on top of Cassante and take half of his HP immediately, and then Enthralled saying, yeah, you know what? That looks really fun. I'm going to try it as well. Because this is a scouting ground, you have to be really critical of these players. I think Enthralled has had a really bad game. I think that there's really disrespectful mistakes over and over and over again that are seriously costing his team really good positions. I think Azila did the same there. Asila's had a really good a really good game so far. One small misplay there from the Azir shouldn't allow the Yunara to do the exact same thing 10 seconds later and kill himself. He could have just TP'd onto the Nexus and ended the game because both the turrets are dead. I'm not sure if the timing was right for the Azir, but sorry, for the Yunara, but still, it's some of the most disrespectful ADC play I've ever seen in my entire life. 20 seconds until this Mountain Soul spawns. Baron on the members of Team A here, but first contest on the river is on Team B.
Yeah, but importantly, it is something to mention is that the Nexus is actually open for Team A despite having the Baron buff. We got push in the mid and bot lanes for Team B with the super minions spawning. Drake has come up. It is soul point for Team A. They are looking to contest. It would be the soul if they manage to find a way in. Two Shot Barrage finds its way onto 3. Now K will try to go through, but the Cataclysm finds its way onto the back line of Team A, but it's just a little bit too separated. Kizno now will get the Shockwave come in, and the delivery for the ball is a bit much. Team A have won this fight. It's a very good not seismic shove, wrong champion, but the Shuriman Shuffle will drop down. It's a final last grasp effort from Asila to be able to find the fight, but it's not enough. They don't get anybody, and Team A, in a very messy affair, will be able to take game 1.
Yeah, really well played fight there from Team A, actually. Keys zones away Asila the entire time, blocks the Azir from really doing any meaningful damage to his team, to the other team. So then you see Asila at the end, forced to try to make a hero fake play at the end. But Aogen, with Kizno, used the ball delivery service with the Shockwave onto Yunara and just shut down the entire team fight very quickly. It's not clean from either team, but Team A played a lot more solid around these later game fights.
Yeah, and I mean, when the moments called for the Team A stood up for those, stood up when it mattered, managed to be able to win game 1. But I think you said it perfectly. This is not exactly one that you'd be happy about on either team. Really, it was definitely filled with its bit of blunders every here there, especially at the end from Team B with the open Nexus. That was I mean, it was really good from Kizno and K to be able to defend the open Nexus. I'll give them that much.
It was good play. They played it really mechanically well. The thing is, though, about these players is they are really good. Obviously, they're great players. Like,
far better than me, yeah.
Yes, they're excellent players. However, they are in a situation that requires scrutiny and honesty. Mechanically, all of them are really good. I saw a couple of Ezreal Qs here and there, but for the most part, no one was really making mechanical misplays, or at least big ones, right? There was maybe the engage with Bounty on Rakan at the ARAM 5v5 near that mid brush. Maybe you could say that's a mechanical play, but more or less, the game comes down to these decisions, and these decisions are maybe it's a synergy thing, right? Teams aren't super comfortable with each other. Maybe it's due to the nature of the Path2Pro and wanting to show off a little bit, and that's completely fine. I think that you should do that. You should try to play your best, but instead of trying to play together and play your team comp the best, which in my opinion is what looks the best, playing your champion to its limits and playing your comp well, it ends up being very kind of single-minded decisions that might make one player look better over another, as opposed to playing for your team. Mechanically, they're all really, really solid. But yeah, some of these decisions need to be tightened up just a little bit for our second game.
Well, we'll have to wait and see how these two teams adapt for that second game. They will be playing the same exact comps, but Team B will move over to blue side, and Team A will be heading over to red side. And we'll also typically have a slightly longer break between these two games because it does give the likes of Quatch and Pocus the opportunity to be able to talk it through these players. This is a combine after all, and the point is to be able to try to learn and develop as well as show off your skills to these the orgs coming into this next year. So we will send it to a break. We will give them that opportunity to do that, and when we come back, We'll see Team B on blue side and Team A on red side. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a little bit.
Never shall tolerate their crimes again. Now let the hunt begin. Yeah. 7,000 souls scared and daunted, such a tale of woe. Not too long ago, this village was a golden scene of hope. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace, restore our glory to live forever. Yeah, bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer. Yeah. I am the light bringer. Now listen, fellow warriors, I ask you, should my campaign come to an end? There's way more to avenge. Whoa! 50 million souls living in this realm without much hope. Not too long ago, this kingdom was a golden state of hope. Yeah! Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace, restore our glory to live forever. Yeah, bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer. Call down the reckoning, bring back hope and peace, restore our glory to live forever. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace, restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer.
And we are back after delay here in the Saito Path to Pro Combine. Team B will be moving over to the blue side as Team A moves over to the red, as we are playing the draft from Game 1 between CFO and Hanwha Life Esports. As this week of the Combine calls for, they're playing a new Worlds draft every single day of the Combine. That just happens to be the one that we're on. And after a very messy Game 1, Gebetto, what are we looking for Game 2?
Yeah, I really think if you're a coach on this team, I'm very likely leaning towards the tightening up of the decisions, talking about, guys, relax, calm it down, slow it down. We don't have to overcomplicate these things, and don't have to make these, miraculous mechanical outplays. Obviously, the teams being swapped now is important. I think Key had a pretty good game on the Kasante, so now being on the 88 point whatever it was percent win rate Rumble over the course of 9 games is very, very comfortable. Obviously, some of these picks aren't the most comfortable in general. Players like Kisno, however, were very, very comfortable on the Zinzao, so that would have been quite good. People like Asilla, who performed really well on the Azir last game, seemed to be pretty comfortable on the Oriana. So I'm hoping that Team B can do a little bit better on this CFO draft, as more of it leans into some comfort for them. I will say, I was talking to you guys, Isaac and production, off camera, about just some of the mistakes that were being made by these players, specifically Team B, and the fact that this is these are important games for these players, right? These are scouting grounds, and who knows who's going to be ending up watching these games, whether it's this stream in general or just the VODs back of the actual games. They're very important, and obviously that can put a lot of stress on you. That can make you maybe make some decisions that you're not happy with in the future. You're looking back with hindsight, you say, man, why did I do that? I really wasn't in a good headspace for that. But unfortunately, these are the games you need to calm yourself down and really play your best game.
It's time to lock in for these two teams. Also, it's maybe not the most indicative of these two coaches for teams B and A, which respectively would be Pocus and Quatch coming through from them, but it's be interesting to see if they could get those nerves down, if we get a little bit more of a calculated sort of game from these two teams coming through. And I'd maybe perhaps expected, especially from the likes of Kisno and K, who have been on these teams that performed really well in NACL. I should also include Array in that bit, have been played at maybe not exactly the highest level ever, but still a relatively decent one that the organization is there. And I mean, even the likes, Dark Zero was in fact one of the better teams performing in NACL throughout that regular season. And even though they did slip up a little bit in playoffs, they're still very much that organization. Maryville University is one of, if not the most respected player development programs in North America.
It's always a surprise to me because in Australia we don't have anything. We don't have any college esports. We barely even have we don't even have college sport. So it's a very different culture. It's very, very cool to see players like this being developed through universities. But we are jumping into our second game here. So again, it's going to be Team A now on the red side and Team B now on the blue side. I'm hoping to see similar things in the early game. Team B winning their lane, specifically on the Oriana and on this Ezreal and Nami. I will say, barrier on Yunara this time, although it's an exhaust for this Ezreal.
Yeah, so you were flaming enthralled a little bit in that last game for opting for that teleport. It does change it up this time around, but the exhaust is a bit interesting, as there are a few targets that are looking to get to the backline. Obviously, a shuffle from Aljun could definitely get him into a position where you'd want to be able to use that exhaust onto either the Azir or the Yunara, but outside of those two, I mean, maybe the Rumble if he gets a bit too close. It's a very interesting option from Enthralled.
Yeah, it's something. We'll see how it goes. I think it's like turning it into a conversation. Sorry, I think that it isn't a bad idea to experiment and try to create your own reasons for why pro players are doing things. So there's a Q there. Facilla will miss, which unfortunate trade there in the mid. But to play, I'm gonna go exhaust this game, and I'm gonna see how that feels, and what if they had done this, and that's fine. But at the same time, it is also like you're playing a very similar situation to some of the best players in the world and choosing actively to do things that they didn't do. So, I mean, take that how you will. It could be, a sign of some innovation and hunger to try different things. Really nice bubble here.
Good bubble from the Nami. Bounty doing really well to set that up. Going to have to flash away is Clarice, very low. But using level 2 to its full advantage is the bot lane of Team B.
Yeah, very nice early game here in the bot lane from Team B. Playing really well around this wave and the pressure that the Ezreal Nami can provide. A bit of disrespect here from Team A as they try to fight for the level 2 a bit too hard, get caught on the trade. Good bubble from Bounty as well. Maybe could have used a heal a bit early to run away from that, or just straight up flash out and the fight doesn't happen. But at the end, it's not the worst health trade for Team A.
Yeah, obviously the health pots are available to Team A. They are doing relatively okay now, but another bubble gets sidestepped well by Clarice. Would have been very troublesome had that landed, but he is okay for now. But for the first time, at least in the games that I have casted here on the Path2Pro Combine, we've got junglers starting on the same side of the map.
Yeah, it is quite interesting. These junglers, quite heavy early skirmishing junglers, so if they meet each other, we'll be happy to fight. I believe that Jarvan should win that trade, but due to the clear speed actually from Kisno, has already gotten the scuttle, and now might be invading too. Just able to get some vision here and drop a ward over, but honestly, Kisno could run down and get bot scuttle now as well, but opts to take a quick base here, but a really good early start here from Kisno.
Yeah, Kisno definitely had the extra comfort from the early push that K has on Rumble over Cassante. Before we get to that bubble, not quite finding the mark, just doing their best to prevent the recall from getting stopped. Grand Entrance not quite finding the mark. Very dangerous times for Bounty, but he does manage to get out of that one.
Good pressure here from Team A. Very different story than the first game in terms of the matchup specifically. The Ezreal and Nami had pushed for quite a while, but very nice turnaround from Team A, as looking pretty comfortable so far. The Jarvan having a really good early clear, and there's TP up from Ariana. I'm really excited to see how this top lane matchup goes, because of how Cassante favored it was for majority of the game. Early game, Rumble's going to suffer, but Key had the hands on the Cassante. He was really, really solid. Unfortunate -1 there. So I'm really keen to see how it looks. Key's on a very comfortable champion, most played champion, highest win rate champion for his over the course of this season. And this matchup should be Rumble favored later on at least. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be the Koenig Rook and Rush again from the Cassante, but I have to see how this lane goes. As Dragon being started up now by Team B.
Has hit level 6. Ariana not getting the ultimate available to them, but meanwhile we go back to the mid lane. The flash from Aljun was questionable as First Blood goes way of Asila, but we don't stop just yet. K still actually already used the equalizer. Now as Ariana hits level 6, will go all out. Can't quite find the damage onto K to find the solo kill. But we got a lot of action here at around the 5-minute mark, and all while that was going down, first straight goes away of Team B.
Flash as well was used from AOG.
I've got to cut you off again. We don't even have a chance to break the grand entrance from Clarice. Going to find the mark, but not enough follow-up from Array, just a little bit too far away.
Yeah, the flash was used from Aogen, so even though the level 6 comes in from Struggler, from Asila, the grand entrance gets dashed away again. So really nice play here from Enthralled. But yeah, the top lane matchup does look pretty tough early. Both sides now have been caught off guard by the level 6 like level up timer and the all out. But yeah, first strike over to Team B. This bot lane is pretty contentious here. Lots of poke coming out as Enthralled dashes forward again for another W proc. And yeah, the lane, like I can understand the TP idea from Enthralled in the first game because it really mitigates a lot of what is happening here. But I mean, I think the Team A are doing a pretty decent job of not completely dying. And you're even in CS, Rakan, this is really smart. So Clarice, instead of them going the Yunara TP, Clarice just hold on, struggle off, force to flash.
Yep, Asyla going to have to answer the gank from Team A, but now Tahe has arrived and the shockwave finds its way onto 2. Tahe going to be able to pick up that kill, but it's a really good response from Team B.
I mean, we saw the flash come out from Asila, and the shuffle was already used, which means that Aogen missed the shuffle and tried to dash in with Kisno going aggressive. Really nice roam from Bounty up to the top to allow them to continue, but Asila, honestly, Asila and Tahe have had the best set so far, the best scrim in-house combine, right? Games today. They've looked the best. I think that Tahe is always in the right position. On the Jarvan was incredibly solid. Not a loud game, but a very needed game on the Jarvan that game. And so far on the Xin is starting off the exact same way as Asila did have quite a loud game. Lots of kills, lots of highlight moments, and obviously you're playing mid, you're playing these impactful champions. That's going to happen. But I still think that these two so far have really been the standouts for me in these games so far.
And we might get another moment here for Team B. It is going to be Tahe and Asyla trying to find a way in. Grubs have spawned. The two-shot barrage finding damage only onto a Ray, but if there's a target that you want to find, it will be that Yunara. Going to have to arcane shift away from the grand entrance of Rakan. So we'll be able to slow things down a bit. Team B will manage to be able to grab this Scuttle Crab though, so we'll get a slight vision advantage in this little tussle between these grubs. First grub going to go the way of Team B, but it's not over just yet. Of course, as I say that, it does look like Team A are sort of only going to soft commit to this one. The teleport goes back.
This is too early, I think.
Ariana to the bot lane, and so with that teleport down, Team A will look to move back in to try to find flag drag. Not going to find anyone from Kisno. The grand entrance finds its way down onto the enemy jungler. That will be the first heal going the way of Asyla, and the tidal wave finds its way onto an isolated Aljun in the Baron pit, who's immediately now claimed by not Asyla. Sorry, they don't have the correct names on them, but it is still going to be Team A forced out of this pit despite the Ariana teleport down. They're going to look for a little bit more. The tower dive not quite coming through. It's not a huge commit for this tower dive play, but the W from the Nami does find the kill on Ray. And meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Ariana picks up a solo kill. It's going all the way of Team B so far.
This is a much more comfortable position for Team B. They are completely in control of the game this time. I think that Enthralled looks much more capable on the Ezreal. It feels like this player wants to play really, really aggressive, and the Ezreal allows him to do so. I still think that Tahe, sorry, and
we get there. It's all right.
and Asila are still the best players so far. I really think that TP from Ariana to the bot lane was too early, as Kisno was on a pink behind, but wasn't really able to find the correct targets, and perfect positioning from Azila again finds a big shockwave. Tahe just is doing the right things, right? Going in, creating space on the Xin Zhao, really nice crescent guard to buy a lot of time away from the Yunara and the Azir. I think these players have had a stunning I'll call it a stunning set so far, and they're going to continue to have this performance if Team A can't start to shut them down.
Yeah, and I mean, we were talking in game one about how this blue side CFO draft definitely wants to fight early. As I say that, it will be the bubble finding its way onto the Rakan, but not quite much else. Tidal Wave didn't quite hit the Team A support, but Kisno will be caught out by Bounty perhaps, but could be troublesome for Bounty. Is very squishy. The Drake all the while goes the way of Team B. It's more just a bit of zoning away from Team B off this tower, off the Drake to ensure that this Drake stacking goes their way.
Bit of an awkward roam there from Asila. Tries to help for the dive and does end up zoning away, but has to TP back to mid so that you don't lose any plates to Azir. Not the worst situation in the world, but you're right. 2 Drakes over now to Team B. It is Hextech Soul as well, with an Ezreal and an Orianna. Now, this Team A comp, like we were talking about earlier, does outscale eventually, but this gold lead is already quite big. Nearly 3,000 gold already, plus you're already at 2 Drakes, you've got 3 Grubs, Herald is spawning soon, you've got still this like constant prior in all the lanes, and despite Key, who I think has had a pretty decent lane, like you can see the CS lead is now slowly building, and we'll have that Leandry soon, as looks like Enthralled is caught here, but is able to walk away. Looks like a dive is being set up from Team A, but actually really respectful from Enthralled. Doesn't walk up to the lane too early, plays very, very slow as his team is pathing down, and now maybe a collapse onto Array.
Yeah, Array does not have access to the flash. Will be able to transcend oneself to be able to get the dash and the move speed, but just won't opt to use it. Just holds on to that, knowing that he's going down. Actually, my mistake. The transcend oneself did just come off cooldown, so there was nothing Array had in his kit to be able to get away, and a really good collapse from Team B.
You got to pay our dues when some good play comes through. Enthralled, not the best first game, but that was really respectful and very good team play. Hold on, TP here behind from Azir. Might be too far forward.
Yeah, but it's still the 2v2. Ezreal obviously has a lot of options to escape if anything comes from that. Shove finds its way onto Bounty. The shuffle does well, but look at Enthralled. Will force a flash away from Ao June to be able to give the kill over to Bounty, but all the while in the mid lane. Asyla's done really well so far in the series, but just stays a little bit too long. The target is still Enthralled, but the Cataclysm is enough to find the kill onto this Ezreal. They will manage to get Asyla. That's just it. Very good play in the spot lane from Team B.
I mean, put this guy on on Ezreal. This is ridiculous play. We were talking with production earlier, having this discussion about Ezreal's kind of like, you need an Ezreal pass to play this champion. You know, it's very difficult. It's high execution. It has a massive skill ceiling. To me, Enthralled is definitely got the pass. Misplay from Asila in the mid lane, giving over that shutdown to Yunara. Not quite sure what the idea there is to push down that mid turret. When there's a fight going on in bot, there's really no need. Just push the wave in on the tower and then rotate down with your team. Or take a reset. Instead, ends up falling down to the Yunara, able to catch out this Orianna here in the mid lane. But Enthralled has had a stunning mechanical game so far in this second game.
Speaking of Enthralled, is the focus to try to burst down Array. Tidal Wave will be dropped. It will hit the Yunara. Array in trouble as the jungler has arrived. Very good swiftness to slow down the advance, but the target will now just be the Rakan from Team B. They'll take that, even though it was their original target.
It is unfortunate that the champ pool of it's obviously a champ pool thing, because this looks completely different this game from Enthralled. The first game on Yunara looked very uncomfortable. He obviously hasn't played it a whole lot, and that's a very new champion, so it's understandable. Obviously, I think we should expect players of this caliber to start picking up these champions. You don't want to start having big gaps in your champ pool very early on in your career. Shockwave will catch Key.
Syla will go for the 1v1 on to Key, but we'll find the solo kill anyway. But the Equalizer does enough damage to potentially set up Kisno. Flag Drag comes down, does have access to the Cataclysm now. It's come off cooldown, but just a little bit too long for it to become available, and that allows Syla to get away.
This is just a really, really solid game from Team B. Very different. Whether or not this is just much more comfortable, as Asila has played a lot more Orianna. It looks like Enthralled. Even though, to my knowledge, this year, it looks like that I've written down in my notes, hasn't played any Ezreal this season. It could be wrong, it could be a mistake in the stats, but this game looked way more comfortable for Team B. It could be just comfort, or it really could have been that break that we were talking about, a coach coming in and saying, okay, guys, you really need to relax. You need to play it much slower and look at these, fights differently and play it a lot different, with a lot more respect. But it's also interesting that Team B are playing. Like, it really feels. It has to be comfort. I have to say it's comfort here because they're playing with respect at the right times and disrespect at the correct times. When Enthralled is just arcane shifting forwards into two people at a good time. Orianna may be the target here.
Yeah, the tower goes down first from Team A. They're looking for the Sante, who has gone all out. Will try to get the burst down onto Aojun before he dies. The CC comes through. The flash from Orianna secures the kill. And he's still all out. He's still doing a ton of damage. The shield from himself does manage to survive a little bit, but not quite enough. Kizno will manage to be able to at least make this a 1v1.
Maybe Cassante is just too strong.
That he will try to find his way onto Asylum, but the jungler has arrived. Equalizer not going to find anybody. It's a really bad use of the ultimate from Key, but all the while it's a little bit too far forward from Enthralled. You're talking about how much better he looked in that game. That's a little. That game one, Enthralled is back, at least for that moment.
That's kind of what I'm talking about with the disrespect. Like, if your jungler was there with you, that's a great play. Unfortunately, it seems like even though this player mechanically insanely solid on the Ezreal, definitely gets the Ezreal pass, it seems like these issues are running deep of over-aggression and very, I'm hungry to attack you. And that's good when you're with your team on an aggressive champion, like you're on an Ezreal at this point. When Ezreal completes Mana Moon here, if you're on a Corki on a similar item spike and you're with your team, let's say like a Rel or an Alistar with a similar jungler, right, like a Xin Zhao or a Jarvan or a Wukong, and you're just running it down their throats, this is really good, and he has mechanics to back it up. But it seems like it's not just at the right times, it's also at the wrong times. Like I was saying before, where it's at this tier 2 tower when no one else is there, you're arcane shifting forwards near the edge of the tower. Unfortunately, Key has had a pretty quiet game on this Rumble. Comfort for him, but I can't blame it too much. It seems like, you know, the team is just losing overall, but it's sole point now for Team B. A bit of a blowout so far.
Yeah, I mean, even though it has been a very one-sided affair, but certainly the gold difference not the biggest that we've ever seen. But now we've got a fight. Array will be caught out by the True Shot Barrage, but that won't quite matter that the damage was there because Team A collapsed onto a few straggly members of Team B, Enthralled once again alongside Bounty, just a little bit too far forward.
Yeah, again, it's very disrespectful from Enthralled, as this will be the mid-tower breaking and a gold lead now for Team A. Oh, no, sorry, as the tower and top lane was claimed as well, so still in favor of Team B, but that was an objective bounty. So Team A really evening up the gold significantly. Yunara now on 2 items, Kizno on 2 items as well. So these members are getting quite strong, but yeah, this is not... this doesn't spell good to me. This is not a good thing. The over-aggression from Enthralled nearly every single time the camera is panning to him. It could also be like a comms thing with Bounty stepping too far forward, but Team B need to calm down. They need to relock themselves back in. They're in a great position. They're on Hextech Soul Point with an Ezreal and a Yunara. And while, okay, they're getting outscaled, it's going to take some time, right? This Azir decided not to go Liandry's, so you don't have a whole lot of tank damage against this Cassante right now. There are still win conditions for you, and you're still in a really good position with the 3 grubs. Play it slow. 1.5 minutes on this Drake, and Atakan has already spawned.
Mentioned Atakan is up, and with Drake coming up relatively soon, all the focus from these two teams will be towards the bottom half of the map. Hopefully we'll see a little bit of an improvement from the positioning from Enthralled. Had done really good up until those two. They were blunders, to be completely frank. But Team B now do have the positioning on this Drake. Enthralled isn't left completely alone, so he is relatively safe at this point in time. The option is to start up the Otacon from Team B, but a good number of Team A members are in and around this objective. Can they find a way in? Key does have access to the teleport. Should he choose to use it, will opt to pop it now, but the Otacon's already gone down to 4k HP. It'll take a late arrival from Key to turn this around. Swiftness will be used to try to find a way in, but it's a good interrupt from the tidal wave. And it will be a slight retreat from the side of Team A, but a shuffle from Aljun finds its way onto the backside of Team B. The key members all deleted off the side of Team B, and so now it's only Asila left alive to be able to turn this around for the blue side. He's got to run, he's got to get out, will be tagged by Key's rocket, will get slowed, but still has a full health bar. Rakan going in, will find the knockup, which allows Key to just walk forward and get the kill, and it's an ace for Team A.
Yeah, a really aggressive Atakan start here, and all of Team A rock up. Team B's protections are just getting destroyed. And a really nice shuffle from Aogen that completely explodes the fight. I will say, again, I think Asila played that fight really well. Wasn't caught by the shockwave, full health towards the end, and was still able to land shockwave earlier and then still get a kill on the back end. The Dragon's being started up, but
yeah, that will be Enthralled getting the first kill. There's no smite available to Team A, and now Array is the target. Double kill for Enthralled, and K has to retreat, has to get away, and despite how that previous fight went, that'll be XX Soul for Team B.
Yeah, a bit too aggressive there. No vision, and Enthralled just shifts over the wall, kills off Kisno, no smite, and then continues forward. I mean, this is the situation in which this player thrives in, as it seems, in this set so far. These aggressive all-ins where you can be mechanically proficient and show off. And that he does. Hextech Soul now makes that a lot easier. Every time you're hitting that arcane shift, it makes every subsequent one easier to hit due to the AoE slow of the Hextech Soul. Orianna now becomes a terror because any poke you're hit by, you're slowed, and Shockwave is now a lot easier to hit. For 2 minutes on this Baron, Atakan was taken by Team A, so the flowers and the XP from that is obviously still a meaningful objective to pull, but this is a really interesting one too. The later on in the game, red buff and blue buffs, it's not quite there yet because Baron hasn't spawned. 25 minutes is the timer, but invading the team-wide buffs is quite a pull away because of how much Team Blue and Team Red can provide for your team with the infinite mana and sustain innately. Would be quite good against the poke from Team B's comp here, from the CFO comp, but tower will fall.
Oh, but Team A looking to try to find a collapse onto these pushing members of Team B, but they keep things in arms, and Ariana's very low off screen. We just get a glimpse at him now. It's still all right. There's enough healing available on Downing to be able to get these health bars back up and okay for this Baron, which is spawning in less than a minute. So they do have access to those Hex Gates to be able to fully get out, but this does give positioning on the Baron to the side of Team A, and now Ariana could be in a little bit of trouble. Will have to use the Blast Cone to get away. But yeah, positioning for Team A.
And the Baron is spawning in 30 seconds, so good push out here, but still a small gold lead for Team B. Remember the Hextech Soul as well and how much gold worth of stats that gives you. So more of a lead now for Team B. Let's take a quick check-in with the items. Yunara has finished her third. The Seeker's Arm Guard has been finished for both Key and for Aogen, who both already had those 2 completed items. On the other side, 2 across the board. 3 finished for Asila, and working on that third is Enthralled, who looks to be going, I'm not exactly sure, with the Vampiric, the Lifesteal one, and then double Longsword, but items don't matter. The fight does. Baron's being started up here by Team B.
They do have a bit of healing from Bounty available to be able to survive damage from this Baron that is dropping. As you mentioned, the poke available for Team B with the Hextech Soul will be quite impressive. Aljun going forward, trying to find alone Asila, but it's a good Zhonya's to be able to deny the damage, but the Emperor's Divide not doing so much, but the result is that he stays alive for now. Ariana finding that kill, but the rest of the fight is going the way of Team A. The Rakan completely burned down, as it will be Tahe picking up that first kill. It is slightly favored to the side of Team A in terms of numbers, but the health bars left on Team B mean they do have to retreat, do have to reset, but they are still alive. It's not the quickest take ever from Team A. Sorry, composition's turned around. Team A do rotate relatively quickly, but it turned down onto Ariana, who's burned quickly through by Key. The Grand Entrance finds its way onto Ariana, but it's a very good path maker to stop the CC coming through. A True Shot Barrage finds its way onto Array. Gets a decent amount of damage now onto that Yunara, but it's a good Grand Entrance. Won't quite matter as the health bars are deleted off this Rakan. Ariana burned down by K, who does so much damage onto this Cassante. Ezreal now using the arcane shift to get away. Enthrall has been very good mechanically, but he's just not quite good enough as Array uses the barrier to keep himself alive and take down Enthralled.
Very close fight there towards the end for Team B, but a misplay from Asila still has the flash available and was caught by a really good snap from Team A. Asila falls very quickly, and Enthralled had taken quite a lot of damage on the front end of that fight. Team A pull the Baron and try to take it, but instead of, taking the Baron, or if they weren't comfortable with their health bars, setting up some vision and resetting for another Baron turn, they opt for the all-in fight. And Team B start winning that fight. Very closely comes in favor of Team A towards the end, as Enthralled has some mechanical proficiency showing off again. And I have to say, I don't know about the Ravenous Hydra pickup on the Ezreal. Maybe this is just really based, and Enthralled is doing his own thing. He's obviously comfortable in the Ezreal. So, he's going to do it. May as well watch and see how it goes, but just something to note of. He's very eager to go against the trend of what the pro players did in the game that we're copying.
It's a bit of an older code, but it checks out. I think typically it's the God, why am I forgetting? I see it. I've said this item's name a million times. Anyway, whatever it is, Ravenous Hydra is one that's a bit older. It gives you the lifesteal. It gives you a bit of tankiness as well. The Tiamat procs on it can do a decent amount of damage, especially if targets are grouped up. Might even get a little bit more value with the Hex Tech Soul available, and that's a lot of damage on that one True Shot Barrage. Didn't even have the Essence Flux marked either. Luckily, Array is relatively okay. Does have the heals from the Rakan to bring that health bar back up, but Elder Drake is up. Tidal Wave is called onto Eljun, who is the target, has to flash away. Will use the Emperors to divide to separate this fight, but it might have just separated his own support a little bit down. Equalizer getting a little bit of damage, not quite finding the mark, but it's going to be Enthralled going too far forward. K will find that kill. Now Ariana picks up Array to make it a 1v1, so 1-for-1 so far. Guardian Angel pronk, but Asila gets the kill onto Aljun, who was originally caught. Kizno now using Flag Track to try to find Bounty, but won't get the mark, and that will be 4 members of Team A taken down. It's only Clarice left alive. There's not much that this Rakan can do. Asila will do their best to stop the recall. I think that recall stop will try to maybe pull off the end. No, it will just get the Elder Drake, the Unsealed Spellbook teleport. We'll get this Rakan out, but now the move for Team B is to get the prize of the Elder Drake.
Should be able to get an Elder, a reset if necessary, and then straight back out onto the Baron. You have the Exodia there. You've got the upgraded shoes. You've got 3 grubs, Hextech Soul, Elder, and Baron all in your pocket. As Yugi Moto casts Exodia in this game, but again, an over-aggressive fight from Enthralled. I have to say, Hextech Soul did so much work in that fight. The AoE slows every time these abilities were hitting meant that Aogen couldn't escape from Tahe as he went in. The Emperor's Divide did not land onto the Xin Zhao, and the fight went in favor of Team B. Now, like I said, with the pieces of Exodia, the last one being picked up right here, there's no chance to fight. The only chance you have here for Team A is to wait out minimum the Elder. Wait out the Elder and get a miracle fight, while maybe a misplay from Team B, Enthralled, maybe Arcane shifting too far forward. But right now, it's just 5 barreling down the mid lane, eyes on this Nexus.
Yep, and with all 5 members and the push from this mid lane, they are looking to be able to end it here at the 31-minute mark. Aljun doing their best to clear the wave as much as possible from a distance, but they just have to retreat further back into the space. K on the wrong side of this fight will be isolated from the rest of his team. So it'll be a bit troublesome for Team A to really do much. They find some slows on to. Oh, no, that's the Shockwave finding Kane. There's the Exodium.
He's dead when he comes out.
He will go golden, but he comes out. There's the execute from the Elder Drake. The redemption comes down. It's a good shuffle from Al June, but it's just not enough. There's too much power in this composition of Team B with the Elder Drake, with the Baron. It's a very valiant effort from Team A to try to stop the end, but Team B will manage to answer and take this set 1-1.
Well, it turns out that both teams actually ended up winning with the team comp that lost the original game. They both won with this B-side comp, if I'm correct. Oh,
Yeah.
no, actually, sorry, no. Yeah, I think that is correct, right?
No, you're right.
Team A won.
Hanwha Life won this game in
And both teams won with this Ezreal comp. So, I mean, it's very interesting. You can obviously see how teams can come up with their own team comps and be. It's more or less comfort based. Aogen looked really uncomfortable on the Azir this game. I still think that Asila had probably the best game. I think that Tahe behind that, mechanically enthralled, was ridiculous on the Ezreal. But yeah, some very important things to note on there for the player, the coach, and any other coaches or teams watching. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe for our third game, these 10 champions will be Fearless banned away, and they're going to do a normal Fearless final game for our third game.
That is correct. That is what is going to happen for Game 3. So this is actually what's happening all this week in the Cyto Path2Pro Combine, is that we get a draft that happened at Worlds that teams A and B, depending on who it is for that set, will play out on either side of that draft. But for Game 3, we always get a draft with the champions in this game banned away. So we'll have to see. We get to see a few more players on perhaps their comfort picks. Obviously, like you said, Aljun didn't really have any sort of Azir games in his history, and it really showed in this one.
Well, we get to see now these players flex off some of their own comfort picks in a comfortable draft, which is, it's kind of funny that some of these champions are fearlessly banned away, because, Kay has, like I said, most success on Rumble. Didn't look like the best Rumble. It wasn't the best game. Obviously, the team didn't perform that well. Team B, they really played well. But it's tied 1-1 right now. So, while technically, pardon me, we're going to go to 3 games. Anyway, it is kind of interesting to say, despite the fact that the wins don't matter, one team technically will be winning this set in this third game.
We'll have to wait and see these players on the champions of their choice, or also the coaches as well have a say in that matter. It's not only their choice, but whatever it is, they will have some agency on who they get to play in this Game 3, which we will bring to you when we come back from this break, so don't go anywhere. and we are back for game 3 for the Saito Path2Pro Combine here in the second set of the day. And as has been the case for the rest of this week, game 3 is the one in which these two teams have the option to be able to draft for themselves this time around.
And remember that the only things that are banned away before this set were the picks of before, which I will quickly get up, were the where
I can run through
Rumble,
them. I have them ready.
Cassante,
Oh.
Zinzao, Oriana, Ezreal, Nami, and Rumble, Jarvan, Azir, Yunara, Rakan. So those are all banned away, cannot be played in this game. Seeing targets towards all over the map right now. Nico support, Siren in the top lane, Wukong in the jungle, and Nidalee, which I would be saying in the jungle. However, I do know that someone recently was playing Nidalee support in Cedo, so
That
maybe
was
it's a flex ban.
Robex. It was. I watched that game. It was. It went about as well as you would expect Nidalee support to go, especially at this level. We'll put it that way. Yeah,
I don't really understand. Maybe it was just a bit of a fun game after doing the first couple of games or whatever it would have been. I don't personally see the value, but maybe it's something that teams are testing out. So could be up in the air, but I mean there are still a ton of things that are high priority. Rise is still available. Galio still pretty highly prioritized into some of the majors that are left up. Talia as well. Poppy ban means that there's going to be a Vi answer ban, as the Poppy will answer that. Now, things like Alistair have a whole lot of value here with the no Poppy ban and some of the more risky ADCs that Vi likes playing into.
Yeah, and so that's a wait and see. But in terms of priority picks that are available, Talia is in fact one of them. So that will be the choice for. I believe Team A is on the blue side this time around, moving back there. So that will go into the hands of Al June, which is one that he's a bit comfortable on, that we know for sure.
There's the Talia that I was talking about just then. Still one of those high priority mids. Syndra, not the most high priority. I know that Nemesis really likes this champion and does do a really good job at dissuading the engage and catching people off. But if you're picking it this high in the draft, team blue side here is able to not do a kind of one note straight line engage into the Syndra. So have to see what they go. I still think something like a Galio would have been okay there, but really solid early game here. The
Okay.
Syndra and the Lee Sin very aggressive.
Oh, yeah, I mean, absolutely. The amount of damage that can come out early from this combination is so incredibly high, but it does leave a few options over for the side of Team B. They're cycling through of the more high priority jungle picks. Trundle is the one that looks like they're settling on if they do decide to lock it in, and they do.
Yeah, this is quite strong. I would be unsurprised if they go an Ornn here, just to pair with the Trundle. You could also, your Cassante and Sign are both banned, but it's going to be a more of a bruiser style here with the Jax. Now, the kind of combo here is a little bit awkward. Maybe I would have preferred the Pantheon, but you pillar someone, they get really slowed, and then Talia can hit the shove combo stun. Obviously, Trundle will win isolated against Lee Sin, like with one or two items, just bonking him on the head and hitting subjugate on him. But Trundle against Syndra is not the easiest for the Trundle. Very difficult for the Trundle to ever really hit a Syndra. And Jax can kind of be the same thing. There's the Alistair that I was touching on before, due to the Poppy ban being quite highly prioritized. Not a whole lot left up into the Alistair. No Rakan available. Rel is not that good into Alistair. You could go towards something like a Braum, but maybe you don't have enough engaged from Team 1 just yet.
Yeah, and also with Alistair as well, it's one of the few tanks that can
There's the
actually
Braum
really
ban.
work into the Trundle, because the Unbreakable Will doesn't actually give you resistances. It gives you just flat damage reduction, and it is quite alright into that specific champion. So I think it works really nicely here for Team 2, and also does set up a lot early for the likes of the Lee Sin and the Syndra to make it landing their abilities quite easy.
With the Braum and Bard both being banned away, things that can be played into Alistair effectively. You're looking at for range supports that are going to win you the lane. A Karma, maybe a Jana could be picked up as well as the Kaiser ban is taken away here by blue side, opting for a little yeah. Production's not happy about that. We were talking about wanting a Kaiser maybe, but I think here you can go towards the top lane counter pick. The Gragas was banned, which is typically the answer into the Jax, but there are still things available. You can still go towards a Renekton, and Besser is still okay, still really high prior tier list top laners that do quite well. This is an interesting one. And Akali
Ooh.
here means a lot
Ooh.
of AP damage right now for Team 2, and it will most likely be a top lane Akali leaving ADC counter pick for the end here, which is not, the worst thing in the world. I think that you've already seen the top laner, you've already seen the mid and the top, so you're able to go towards that. I am interested to see Corki make sense. This is also a takeaway. Corki would be pretty good on red side here, but maybe a Nautilus for the Alistair could be quite nice here for blue side as well. I'm thinking something like an Engage, could be a Leona as well.
Yeah, either the Nautilus or the Leona would probably be two of the better options for Team One, as they really don't have too many ways to be able to go in, especially as Team Two do have the ability to just kind of get away from. Well, they'll go for the Rel. I mean, they hovered the Nautilus for a bit there, but I know you have made your concerns well known about this Rel into the Alistair.
Yeah, it's a counter match. Like normally, you're happy to take this trade on the Alistair side. It's still something that pro players will opt to go in. They're not unhappy to go the Rel. But yeah, it's very disallows the engage. The Alistair and the
Okay,
Syndra.
guys. All right.
Yeah, okay. This is
All right.
so Team Two's comp is not the strongest as a tier list side, right? Blue side is way better looking at it on paper. But the thing is that the Syndra and the Alistair do a really, really good job of denying the engage. Rel can never get in against these champions. Jax can never get in against these champions. And Trundle as well has a really hard time running at you in a straight line. The other thing is that with Corki as well, you're really close range up against a Syndra. Vayne will win the 1v1. We actually saw Vayne played by Mkoy super pulled out the Vayne up against a Sivir, and it solo killed Guma level like 2 or 3, maybe level 4 actually. But later on, really struggled in the team fights. The thing that's good for Vayne here, though, is there's not a like if this was a Nautilus, you can't go Vayne here because the depth charge will just like catch Vayne through invisibility, right? But Rel has a hard time landing onto Vayne. Trundle as well doesn't do the best job. Jax probably has the best chance of landing onto Vayne with Counter Strike, trying to find the stun. I think that Red Team's comp is risky. It's very high execution up against a much more solid CC heavy draft from the blue side here. But I think that the anti dive, the anti engage that Team Two has might end up trumping this game.
We actually kind of saw something not nearly identical last night in this same combine in the game 3, but it was another situation of where one team drafted what looked like a little bit more for fun, not nearly to the extent that Team 2 has gone for in this one, but I mean it really worked as soon as they managed to align their abilities together. The amount of damage they had drafted for themselves just managed to overwhelm the more standard mixed well-rounded composition that was drafted in that series or set. So I've been surprised by these sorts of we'll pick our champion sort of composition and run with it, because it has had some pedigree so far.
I think that Talia is a really interesting point to touch on due to the global aspect of it. The fact that she can impact these side lanes that kind of need to be impacted, right? The Akali is a volatile lane, the Vayne is a volatile lane. Hold on, let me sit up. um, they're all volatile lanes. So So Talia being able to impact the side lanes and roam around through the mid game is a pretty important thing. I will say though that even though Syndra and Alistair have a pretty good time against this kind of engage, if Team One is able to be faster, Team A can be faster here on the engage, and Alistair, the Syndra can't get off their important abilities, the fight could be over basically before it starts.
Yeah, and then especially as mentioned the Syndra, because a lot of the champions on Team B's side do have the ways to be able to get out. Akali obviously can shroud and flip away, and then Vayne just presses R and then goes invisible and then rolls off. But Asila is definitely going to be a lot more vulnerable than the rest of the team and could definitely be picked on a lot by Team A, especially early on with what you mentioned already with the pillar setting up a really good shove as well for Aljun.
I think that it's also kind of a tough Lee Sin game. This game, you're going into Talia with the ground. You're going into Trundle, who's going to be slowing you and hitting you. You're going into a Jax with Counter Strike. Corki has a dash. Rel has good peel. I think that it's a tough game to play Lee Sin in. The good news though is that you're not diving alone if you are going towards that style. If you're going to play the anti-dive style, I think that it is much harder to play Lee Sin in this game because all of the important members are standing on top of each other, trying to peel for the Vayne to really be the carry. But if you're kind of letting Vayne go invisible and run around with you, um, you're diving with the Akali, with the Alistar, and the Syndra is the one who's going to be left alone by herself and can't really assist in that dive. I think that it's this options of dive versus anti-dive for Team B here, and for Team A, a very pick based style. They do have like obviously some dive with Jax and the Rel. And funnily enough, even though there's no package anymore, Corki dashing has ridiculous scaling. I think it's 150% AD, 200% AP scaling on Corki's dash. It does a ridiculous amount of damage later on. So I mean, you can dash in as Corki and try to get that on. But yeah, what's really funny this game to me is that it's in Thrall on the Vayne.
Yeah, that's what I had in the back of my head as well because enthralled. I mean, I. I've loved watching this guy play so far. Not because he's been perfect, but because he's been very imperfect. He's been incredibly mechanically, but a few of his positioning at moments has been like, what are you doing there, enthralled?
Well, this is a champion that can like really rise or really fall off of that exact playstyle. Mechanically, Enthralled was really good. His movement was great. Obviously, the skill shots on Ezreal, Vayne doesn't have any skill shots, but the movement was really good, and being able to play those 1v1s and 2v2s and really play them well is where Enthralled seemed to thrive in that second game. But also, his downfall was these team fights, the 5v5s when he was way too far forward, or even just being caught out in the jungle, being caught out pushing for a tower at the wrong time. And Vayne is a snowball champion. If you're building up these leads, in lane, and then throwing them away on a champion like Vayne, you just won't come back into the game. So this game really could win or lose by how Enthralled does. And bear in mind, the win or the loss doesn't really matter in this exact game. I mean, it's kind of fun to say like, oh, who won the set, but it's more of a scouting thing, right? So Enthralled is really putting down the golden and saying, I am just flat out better than Array. I am better than him. I'm going to pick something that I'm going to show that I'm better than him on, and we'll see where we go from that.
Yeah, and it really is a big like ego sort of thing, especially into Array. You know, who on Blue Water was a very big part of their success in playoffs. That took them to third place. But I mean, if Enthralled says that he'll step up and be able to take on one of the better ADCs that we've seen in Tier 2, I mean, we'll see. We will see after this break because we are going to send it to a spectator delay. When we come back, all our eyes will be on this matchup, so don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss it. We are back and loaded onto the Rift for the final time tonight here in the Saito Path2Pro Combine. And I mean, the main thing that we were looking at is going to be enthralled on this vein. And well, generally, this Team B composition has been a bit surprising. But before we get to that, Kizno is caught out a little bit. Going to have to try to get away a few chomps down, get him a little bit of movement speed. But so far, now Key in the top side of the map, going to chunk out Ariana. Very, very exciting first few moments here, but no blood spilled just yet.
Yeah, very scrappy. Looking for some early fights. The Jack's up against the Akali, the Trundle walking in a little bit late, and Tahe being able to get a bit of damage back on with Asila, who those two, in my opinion, were the best two so far today. I'm enthralled mechanically, definitely performed well, but my eyes are on these two to see if they can continue to perform. Some notes here, very, very deep wards for both teams. You've got a blue ward on the blue for Tahe and a red ward on the red for Kizno.
I like this early crash down from Claritz to be able to try to find a flip if it comes through. We'll now use that onto Bounty. The early Ignite will drop down onto the Rel. Bounty's gotten very low. We'll now try to move away, but the target is Array from Enthralled. Won't quite be able to get the kill, but does isolate the Corki from the rest of the team. The Phosphorus Bomb will find its way onto Bounty, taking him even lower. The flash forward from the Rel finds the kill. A very aggressive move from Claritz gets the success onto Enthralled. We were looking at this matchup, and we might have to see it a little bit more as Tahe has arrived in the bottom lane, but Enthralled does have that teleport, and now the crash down is stopped, and there's nowhere to go for Claritz, who will get claimed by Tahe.
I will say again, like, going TP on Vayne is so strange, in my opinion. Anything is a kill there, by the way. Ignite kills, exhaust kills, barrier probably keeps him alive, and maybe he's able to turn it around. I want to praise Claritz there for some really good matchup knowledge there. Tough matchup for Rel early game. You start with the W normally on Rel to be able to change stances, but if you W on top of Alistair, he's just going to headbutt you away. This time, Claritz starts earlier in the the demounted form for extra range, plus the shield, and then is able to get the flip back as well to start that engage off. Really solid level 1 play from Claritz. And Tahe as well, doing those early camps, pathing down to be able to get the trade back onto Claritz after the kill. But Kizmo's here.
Rolled in a bunch of trouble. The roll has already been used. Condemn will try to get Rel further away, but it won't matter. Array picking up his second kill of the game onto Enthralled.
Yep. Pretty far forward there for Enthralled on the Vayne. Nice pathing over from Kizno, as that will be a second death for the Vayne with TP. So the TP was used to get back to lane and is down 10 CS now. Obviously, the wave will crash and hopefully be able to pick up a little bit of that. But so far, Team A is performing really well. The counter in top is shoved back on the tower.
The head putt will get Claritz away, and Condemn pushes the Rel into the wall, but the vision finally given by Bounty by moving into that bush. Will secure the kill for Enthralled.
Yeah, Array could have maybe flashed forward, but opts to play the safer option, which is
in the bottom lane. Headbutt Pulverize finds its way down onto Array, but Kizno is here to help out his ADC. A good pillar does mean that Enthralled's in a bit of trouble. To flashback over the pillar to try to find a third kill onto Vayne this game. Gank comes through, and that's Feats of Warfare going to the side of Team A.
I have to say, really good identification from Team A as to where they need to focus their attention early. Okay, one kill goes over to Enthralled on the Vayne, but still, all eyes are on the bot lane.
Ooh, Ariana
the Shroud just gets him alive.
Counter strike. Does keep him alive. Interestingly, it is the Ignite flash forward from K. Will get the kill onto Ariana, who did not opt for a flash, so does not have any options to escape after using that E.
You got to remember, this was a counter matchup. Ariana saw the Jax and picked the Akali into this Jax and is now getting solo killed only 5 minutes into the game. Again, I want to touch and highlight on Team A and their ability so far to shut down the Vayne out of the game. Okay, the CS isn't that bad, but Array already has 2 kills. Vayne not off to a good start, 3 deaths already, and does have a bit of an XP advantage, but since Clarice had passed up to the top, Array's got a bit of solo farm here, very safe on the Corki against the Alistair early, can dash away from that headbutt pulverized combo. First Drake has now spawned prior in the bot side for Team B, should mean the Drake is accessed first.
Al June is caught by Tahe. Will flash out the stun on the Scatter of the Week, but Asylum now flashing over the wall himself to try to find the kill onto Al June. The unleashed power gets the kill onto this Talia, and the fight isn't over just yet. It is it is Clarice in a bunch of trouble. Will find the stun onto 3, but it just won't matter. Moves way too slow dismounted and will not be able to get away.
The 2 players that have been the most outstanding in this series, in my opinion, saving the game right now for Team B, Tahe and Asila. Really nice play from both of those. The TP in from the support.
The stun onto Array, the flex flash over. Bounty will find a way forward, but the teleport with the unsealed spellbook does
Here comes
discourage this advance. Kisno will try to find game head, but Pulverize drops down, but Bounty has no way out, no access to flash, and now in the alcove, nowhere to go. They'll do their best to give this over to Array. The Valkyrie over ensures Array will pick up his 3rd kill of the game.
And it's continuously the same look from Kisno, prioritizing towards this bot lane. And even though I say that the combo, the duo of Tahe and Asila have been performing really well in this set and in this game as well, getting some really important kills there earlier around the Dragon, it's still Team A just shutting down Enthralled and Bounty in this bot lane, who have been consistently overstepping in the set and making big mistakes. This is not an Ezreal. This is not a champion that you can do this on. This is a Vayne. Now Bounty trying to be a bit of a pain.
We'll try to find the stun onto Kisno. Headbutt Pulverize will have the auto attack 2 stun. The Condemn drops into the wall, but the Ignite secures the kill to Bounty. You would have rather that gone to the Enthralled.
Yeah, the Ignite a little bit too much there. Maybe not even needed. The anti-heal is nice, but Kisno can't get over the wall, had no flash, and obviously Trundle has no mobility. Array is able to dash over the wall for safety, but it is first Drake over to Team A, and a gold lead actually for Team B as Asila's caught.
Flash forward, it's a good scatter of the week, but the seismic shot followed up is enough to get Asila in trouble. A good headbutt gets Array from this Syndra. A flip now goes down onto Bounty. Won't find the second stun onto Asila. The unleashed power won't get this execute onto Ao June. But Tahe has now arrived to try to turn this gank around.
Roll's coming.
And Bounty in trouble, but Tahe just going to be able to get out now. We've now called everybody enthralled. Will get the dash forward and the kill onto the Talia, but he's in trouble himself. The final hour will give him the invisibility, but he's just not fast enough to get away. Kisno will get yet another kill onto Enthralled.
I have to say, Asila still remains the standout for me in this series. You could really see what I was talking about in the draft with how the Syndra interacts with this comp. Rel flash Qs and still gets the stun off, but Asila's able to scatter the weak him away and push him away. I think that even happened twice, but an interaction that I wasn't quite able to touch on, as I wasn't even thinking about it, is Asila, TP's in.
Asila, you were talking about how you liked what they were doing. It may have actually just baited Team A out a bit. Headbutt Pulverize finds its way down. Seismic Strike lands onto Key. The kick now gets Rel away from the rest of the team. It's going to be Clarice, who has nowhere else to go, and they'll just gift this over to Asila.
A bit of an over-eager overstep there. 2 grubs over to Team A. And I will be pushed away as the members of Team B pull in for the 3rd grub to get 1 for themselves. But yeah, the combo that I wasn't really that aware of, I mean, I know how it works, but I didn't think of it, was if you pillar someone, it technically counts as a knock-up. So if they're on the rocks, they will be stunned. Very, very micro interaction there between the Trundle and the Talia, as Kisno has actually snuck into the top brush here.
interesting situation developing here because Bounty, I don't think has been seen either. Final hour prop, as you said, Kizno is here. Enthralled going to be immediately deleted. The crashdown won't quite find its way onto the vein, but Al June's Weaver's Wall makes sure that Enthralled has nowhere to go.
Great use of the global as they press for some more plates here.
Oh, Seismic Strike lands its way down onto Clarice, but not much else. Teleport dropping down. I'm going to believe that's from K. Won't get much else as these two teams back away once again. All 5 members from Team A move to the top side of the map, not quite finding the Scatter Week onto the rail, but K going in onto Ariana. Won't quite get the counter strike. Ariana goes back in. First proc of Perfect Execution used, but a good use of the Unraveled Earth to prevent that second ult from Ariana coming through. Forces a flash away from Aljun as he held on to it, though.
Fairly just playing safe play here. Okay, spotted on the ward and will cancel his
Flash
base.
forward from Asila, tries to find the lethal onto K, won't quite get it. The kick also going to get Aljun away. It gets him low, but now Kizno is the target. A few isolated 1v3s come through. A good seismic shove won't be enough to be able to find anything. And now Ariana is collapsing on Clarice, who's on the wrong side of the map. Crashdown comes through. Now headbutt away from the tower, and that will be yet another kill. Give it over to Asila.
Yeah, some unfortunate 1v1 trickle fights there at the end of that engage on the top side as it was K caught on the reset while he was trying to base on the ward, then gets pulled away. Aogen tries to protect, gets chunked really heavily, and then Kizno gets baited to walking in to try to save his team and end up falling down. It's still a very close game, but the gold lead is in favor of Team B right now.
Slowly started to go that way. Team B has caused chaos in this game, and they have thrived under it. I mean, we're already at 16 kills in 12 minutes, starting to really accelerate this one. However, we have finally gotten a moment to breathe. Of course, right as I say that, we've got movement towards the bottom side of the map. Enthralled potentially could be in
15
trouble.
seconds on his Drake, so it's definitely going to be some fighting around that as the Condemn will deny the Rel engage. Rel's having a bit of a hard time this game, not necessarily due to gameplay, just due to the matchups. It's a hard Rel game. Top tower will be taken by Key. Kizno getting targeted here.
Will actually be the feats of strength going the way of Team A as they were the first one to pick up the 3 kills, but we won't quite focus on that just yet as we have some jockeying for position around this second Drake. It is the Hextech Drake that has spawned up now. Scat of the Week finds its way down onto Clarice, who is deleted. Not quite, is still alive, and the heal comes through. It might be enough to save the support, but is there anything Team A can do in response as Tahe gets 1 kill, and now Asila the second, and there's nothing left for Team A to do as it's another kill going the way of Team A. They're looking for more. Alju now the target of Team B. K will do their best to try to get the kill onto Bounty and, be able to survive some time, but it will at the very least be traded back 1-for-1 for now, but K is the only one left. Can he find a way onto Asila, or can he get out? Scatter Week didn't quite have any targets there. K using the Counter-Strike to ensure that Enthralled doesn't get any damage down onto him, but it is the 4 kills for Team B, but does take them a while, and a few of the members of Team A are back up. I don't know if they're giving this one up just yet.
It's a really nice fight once again from Tahe and Asila. Tahe finds a kick flash onto Array to take him down. That's the Drake secured by Team B. Now the fight.
Going to be stunned by the Scatter of the Week, and now Ariana finds a way in onto Kizno, who gets killed. But it's a good response from Team A to be able to trade that back for 1-for-1. Bounty down to half HP, doesn't have access to the Unbreakable Will, so is kind of taking it at this point in time. It'll just be the 1-for-1 for now.
Yeah, a bit of an overstep potentially from Team B. They already got the Drake. They've used ults before and some flashes were down. But Ariana ends up getting a kill 1-for-1. Like you mentioned, the game does slow down quite a lot here due to the Drakes being 1-to-1, the gold evening up very much so after that. Oh, here we go. Enthralled. Gets a bit of poke off, but doesn't opt to continue off the trade here. Does, I guess, use the TP to get back to wave. But, I mean, even if you just look at the kills, it's Tahe and Asila. Nice stun there.
Good use of that Unraveled Earth from Aljun. We'll keep him alive. But and all the while, Rift Herald has spawned up, and with how much these two teams have gone at each other's throats, I don't think there'll be a lot of time to talk about what might happen for this fight, as it is started up by Team A, only tentatively though.
Yeah, some wards though for Team B are around. That pink ward will be removed, but there is still one in the Herald pit as a pink ward gets taken down by Enthralled in the mid lane. So still vision control for Team A now, but there is a ward in the pit. Asila TP's up to the top lane, onto the tower to take over while Ariana bases.
Ooh. Three members now mid trying to find their way onto Enthralled. Does manage to get away, but is chunked a little bit
TP
out.
from
The target will have to flash Seismic Shove, not finding its way onto Tahe, but the two tower shots mean that this Lee Sin is very low. We'll probably have to reset. Might want to get vision up in the top lane, but before we get to that, Array is the target of Team B. The final hour used by Enthralled, managed to get the kill, but now eyes back up in this top lane. It is responded by Team A, getting their kill onto Asila and Tahe.
A very nice collapse on the two strongest members, or the two most impactful members, I should say, of Team B. Really good TP from K behind them on that ward at the Tribe Rush to set up that fight. Now, Herald is being started up by Team A. Kisno should be able to take that pretty much for free. Ariana forced to answer key on this side lane. The Jax is a big threat. And remember, again, this Akali was picked against the Jax. Yes, there were some bans for the Jax, but mostly just that Gragas. There's other picks into something like a Jax, that you could go towards, but the Akali was the answer from Ariana, and I haven't really been convinced by it so far.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also the option to go Ignite as well from Ariana is definitely one that seems like a bit of an ego play. One that gets a lot more kill pressure as well. The amount of damage it has available to it. Speaking of Ariana, will get hit by the Seismic Shove. We'll just hop away for now. We take a second back. It's a bit odd that these two teams are looking for a potential fight. Ariana in a bunch of trouble. Team A will collapse on him first. Will dash out now, but the counter-strike stun finds its way onto the Akali, but all the while the option is to move down onto Clear 2 is the target of Team B. Team A not respecting the extra pressure around the other parts of the map means that Clarice does go down. We're not done just yet. Counter-Strike finds its way down onto Enthralled, but the redemption drops, keeps him healthy, and that will be yet another kill over to Enthralled. Really good work from Bounty to be able to create space for their Vayne, and so 2 kills picked up by Team B unanswered.
I mean, the fight was very close on the top side. If Aegon had predicted the shove over the wall, he did put the shove over the wall. Hold on, Bounty.
Array now the target. Pulverize not quite going to be used. Did actually take aggro from the E. Is alright. Headbutt Pulverize drops. No more tower. It means that the situation is fine, but the Magnet Storm finds way onto multiple members, but Enthralled is still alive. A good scout of the week keeps Kisno at arm's length. Bounty is very low. So is Clarice, but there's no blood spilled on either side.
Very close, but some important ults there used from TA was the Magnet Storm and the Subjugate. Both used tried to get something out of that kill there. Array, be careful, but don't take too much damage there.
Would it be the first time tonight?
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, the top play was very close. Aegon tries to predict Ariana ulting over the wall with the Seismic Shot, but Ariana holds the R2 just a second and then dashes over the wall to safety, and Rel gets caught as they walk into the top side by the Condemn against the wall. It's a fine play. You try something on the top side, you lose your support, it's okay, but then Key decides to engage 1v3 and unfortunately falls down there, but this is second Drake, can easily give this if you want to. He does have TP if he wants to join, but it looks like the option is to give right now. I really wish that if the option was to give, we had more of our team up here, because this could be a dive right now onto Oriana as you give the Drake, but it's still a tier 2 basically for free. Positions are now towards the top side.
Onto Kisno, but the pillar will slow down Enthralled. Few shields from Tahe will keep him safe. But the final hour was used from Enthralled to be able to get him out, denying that vision from Team A, and he is safe.
That was a lot of damage from Corki, and this isn't even the Corki spike moment where you've got your full upgraded mana moon. That's where Corki really
Oh, the
starts to be
counter strike
scary. All in.
stun lands its way onto Ariana, but Redemption will drop to keep him a bit healthy, and now the headbutt pulverized down onto K will make him the target of these two members of Team B, but he is still able to get out, barely, with his life.
Really good pillar from Kisno there to stop any of the follow-up from Team B, but Key's still getting chased out here, actually.
I may have spoken a little bit too soon. Flash forward, pulverized headbutt back towards Ariana. Key is still okay health-wise, not quite enough. I was hoping that maybe he was able to get a few auto
Engaging
attacks
mid,
down.
though.
The Lux will come through. Enthralled is way too far forward. We've seen this a few times this game. Enthralled. Where are you going there, buddy?
Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. I think that Enthralled really needs to reel it back in. This is a very common occurrence from a player who's mechanically proficient, as Claritz is caught.
Tahe will find his way onto the Rel, but not much more as the rest of Team A arrives. Scatter of the Week does dissuade the collapse from Team A, but a good seismic shove finds its way down onto Tahe. Does manage to get the kill in return, though, in the 4v3, so it is the 1-for-1 for now.
1-for-1, favoring Team A quite significantly as the jungler from Team B is down, so could be an Atakan startup as Kia TP down to the bot side. This is on Vision, and Oriana is TPing in.
Yeah, it is a 4v4 for now, but importantly, there is no smite available to Team B as Tahe was the one killed, so Team A are just going to try to burn this before Team B can collapse and find any more damage. It's down to half HP now, but Team B has arrived. Headbutt, and the Scatter of the Week finds its way onto multiple members. Pulverize as well, follows that up extremely nicely. And the perfect execution Variana finds one, but it's not without answer. Currently, it is the 1-for-1 in terms of kills. Importantly, Tahe is the one back alive. Tahe has respawned, will have access to the smite. Once again, Aljun taking the Rift Herald to the wrong side of the map means this Talia is not long for the world. Tahe picking up that kill, but now Ariana in a bit of trouble, will get stunned up by the counter strike, but a Scatter of the Week from Asila does slow things down a bit. A good seismic strike from Tahe is stunned up by the counter strike once again, but he is managed to survive through that. The flash forward, the Scatter of the Week finds his way onto a Ray, but not the lethal. K will do his best to save his ADC, but what will cost his life. A very long extended fight does manage to find its way going the way of Team B, but these health bars are kind of low. Kisno has respawned in all this time. The Redemption drops, will get the kill.
Oh, no.
The Redemption kill finds its way onto the Rel, and now Array's in the wrong spot doing his best to try to turn this around. There was potentially a chance for Team A to take away this Otacon, but it's finally going the way of Team B.
Aogen had TP. Maybe if Array hadn't died there, you could have seen a continuation of that fight with Kisno pathing over, but they opt to give the Atakan finally. Again, I feel like I'm saying this on repeat, but Tahe and Asila just carrying these fights as a pause comes through once again. Maybe we'll touch up from the coaches, but yeah, that fight. So what I would have really liked Team A to do there is after they pick off Tahe originally and started the Atakan, instead of fully committing to it and trying to like burst it down, is when Team B starts to walk in, you posture aggressively and take the engage, take the fight. The Herald goes down as maybe a team fight option or a disengage. Unfortunately, Aogen takes it. Maybe a misclick, as it was in between a whole lot of minions and you know, maybe just a mistake there, so a small mistake. It is what it is. But I really would have loved an engage there instead of just taking the Herald, shredding yourself so much, and then waiting for these respawn times to come through from Team B. They end up recontesting the Drake. There was a really nice redemption kill there off the back as well from Ariana. So onto Ariana, sorry. Really nice from Claritz. But still, the game is very, very close. Atakan has been taken. Kisno could be caught here, but pretty fast away from Bounty.
Yeah, he's zooming. He's out of there. But I mean,
Just wanted to know, could we production get some left clicks on some of these champions to see what the flower count is on one on red side and one on blue side, just to see after the Atakan what that was. If you could left click on the champions themselves.
Maybe while we potentially wait for that, I mean, if talking about a good time to pause because it is something that the coaches have access to after a fight like that to try to bring the nerves back down to a bit of a normal level because that
It's kind of
one
like
was
CS:GO, or CS2 now.
yeah,
You know how
yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah,
pause
yeah.
like in between rounds, and the coach tells you what you did wrong and what to approach next. I'd be really interested to see if like that was ever implemented into pro play, whether you could pause like once or twice on stage and talk about the game. I think that it would probably make the game slower and a bit more boring. So maybe they would never do that. But dragon spawning, the
Oh,
fight's on.
Kazim going to be used very early. Enthralled is a target for Team B, but use the final hour does deny the vision, is able to get out for now, but it is separated by Team B. A good headbutt pulverized from Bounty will keep Enthralled alive. And they do get out. Now Ariana potentially the target stunned up by the counter strike is okay. Bounty doing a lot of work in that previous fight to get Enthralled out.
Much better to not all in the fight here as Baron is also spawning, but TP from Enthralled means
They're not going
maybe
to
there's
give
a
this
round
up.
2 coming.
Yeah, the option is to now move on to K, who is pretty relatively pseudo-tanking at this point in time. Team B try to burst him down, but a good crash down. Magnet Storm isn't quite in time and ahead, but pulverized from Bounty into the back line of Team A is all Team B needs to be able to win this fight. It's only the Drake for Team A. They commit so much to it. The response from Team B is perfect.
The Magnet Storm looked really good, but there was no collapse. There was no shove available. Key was already fallen down. A great engagement split the fight, but it just wasn't synergistic enough. It wasn't maybe commed correctly, but 2 Drakes now for both teams. But Team B will be able to get Baron off of that play, and Tahe continues to just have a standout game.
Yeah, I mean, a few of these Scout of the Weeks onto targets that have are not CC'd or not stunned up have been really impressive and have started a few of these fights. I mean, as you said, not only in this game, but kind of in this game especially. In general, Asila has really stepped up this set, and it's one that I'm actually very happy for them as well because at the start of this combine, Asila didn't necessarily have the best of times and has really started to develop quite a bit, even within just the short period of the few weeks that we've had, week and a half-ish.
Well, the game is not over just yet for Team A. They are still on 2 Drakes each and only about 4k behind. That is significant, but as the scaling does start to come in a little bit for this Talia, for this Corki as well, you are able to find the Lee Sin as he falls off. Now, Lee Sin falls off in damage, sure, but still maintains prowess in finding catches if you're mechanically proficient on the champion. Ariana into the Shroud, but here's a dive.
But all the while, Bounty going to pop the Unbreakable Will to reduce damage coming through. Aojude is the target. They will not quite claim him just yet. Finally, Enthralled gets that kill, but it takes a long time for the rest of Team A to arrive. Can they get the rest? Tahe is immediately killed by Array, and now Enthralled on the right side of the map means that that's 2 shutdowns going the way of Array. Headbutt Pulverize finds its way down onto K to be able to trade 1 kill back, and now the target is this bot lane tier 2 tower. Scout of the Week won't quite hit Clarice, but a little bit of a messy fight. Doesn't go perfectly for Team B, but they do at the very least get something from what they came for, but we're not over just yet. Kizno, the target, the Scout of the Week, finds its way onto this Trundle, and now the flip from Ariana tries to get any more, but will be slowed up quite a lot by this pillar. Array is back, was able to get a few of those items under his belt with those 2 shutdowns, but these 2 members of Team B are able to escape.
I'm not sure if I love the more purchase here from Array. You're investing a lot into protections with the boots and now the more. I think Infinity Edge would have been good there and then maybe a more last or even just a shield bar or a GA. But I think the more does a good job of dissuading some of the damage from Ariana. Surviving that all-in can be a really potent tool. I do think that shield bar still provides you with a shield, so it does very much the same thing and still gives you crit and good amount of damage as well. But still a good option here. A scrappy fight. You said messy. I completely agree. Definitely was messy as Asian maybe caught here, but Ariana is able to dash away.
He's a Bit of a death push. Seismic shove finds its way onto Silo, who does flash away, uses Scatter the Weak, but doesn't get the stuns. And now Kizno gets that kill, but it's immediately responded by Enthralled. It actually will be Asila getting that kill, and the perfect execution managed to get the kill onto K. And now Clarice. A few of these names not being displayed is a little bit troublesome, but at the very least, going to be 1-4-3 across the map, going the way of Team B. And now with only Array left alive, they're going to look to push in. Was the only one left in that bot side of the map is going to recall, but we do have a few cool the respawn timers coming down. Aljun is back up in 12 seconds. Kizno up relatively soon. Do Team B try to end this? They are potentially looking for it. Pushing their way, and now flash forward, headbutt pulverize finds its way onto Array. The stun drops, and that will be the ace for Team B. But Aljun has respawned. We'll use the Reaver's Wall to try to separate this fight, and now the rest of the team of Team A has come back. They are here doing their best to stop this advance. That will finally be a kill down. Allen's a bounty. It's a really good Magnet Storm onto all the members of Team B. But can they find the damage to follow up? Enthralled's doing so much. They do manage to find their way onto Tahe. And now it's a good scout of the week from Asila, but the double stun from the counter strike of K finds its way onto both Enthralled and Asila, but Asila managed to keep distance with these scatter the weeks, gets the kill onto K. He's still doing all right, still has a relatively full-ish health bar at this point in time. He's not giving up on this fight just yet. Finally, will decide to back away.
Yeah, very close to ending the game there for Team B, but Array does just enough time buy and a Weaver's Wall from Aogen to split up the fight, interrupt some of the minions, and make it a bit harder to hit. The tower was really well placed. Now the next dragon is available. This is Soul Point. If either team can get it, really, really nice base cancel there from Clarice. That's super important, as Asila needs to base much later, does not have TP, and the dragon is already being started up by Team A.
Yeah, and considering how scrappy that last fight, how long it did go on for, does mean that I feel that Team B probably do have to give this one up. It's really, as you mentioned, a really good recall cancel from Clarice to ensure that Team A do go on Soul Point. And so despite their 3.5k gold deficit at this point in time, they ought to use that pressure from the next Drake that is spawning up, and the inhibitor should also be back within that time.
Clarice is able to spellbook TP back into the mid lane. Very strong position here. Lots of items being completed. Corki has those 4 items finished and 3 items on.
Only finds way onto Clarice. Kizno now the target for Team B. They're looking to kick him back into the team. The flash away, as you mentioned, the TP from Key comes in. They're looking for Ariana. The Zanyas will keep him alive a little bit longer. Scatter the Weak not quite finding its way onto too many members. Ariana will get away with the second cast. The perfect execution. Now Bounty with the Unbreakable Will, not taking too much damage. That should go away just in a little bit. It will be the target, but won't be able to gape down the cow. And now Elgin will have to flash away from Asila. No kills just yet. Either way, Asila in a bit of trouble. Scatter the Weak moves Key away, but the follow-up from Team A won't quite be able to get the kill onto the Asila just yet. Finally goes down, but all the while off the screen, Ariana will be the target for Team A. The flip now from Clarice means that this is a perfect fight from Team A, and despite how these last few fights have gone, they find the clean ace. They have a push in the mid lane, and they're going to look to end the game.
Array had a perfect position onto the right side of that fight, lobbing in missiles and the phosphorus bombs as well onto the back line of Team B, chunking down Enthralled heavily before the final hour was committed to. A really great Magnet Storm from Clarice interrupts Tahe on his take of the Q, on his Q2 cast, and catches Asila, the 2 most important playmaking members of Team B. Enthralled tried his best on the Vayne, but it just couldn't perform to the level that it needed to.
Yeah, it was a very back and forth sort of game, and highs and lows from both teams all around. But that, I believe, will be it from us tonight. So thank you for tuning into this day of the Path2Pro Combine. I've been Isaac. Alongside me has been Geppetto. Loki working things behind the scenes, making this all possible too. So from everyone at Blue Water and Sido, thank you for coming in tonight, and we hope to see you tomorrow.